And we're live. There we go. Isn't that better? So you know we're about to go live.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Welcome everyone to the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast. We're a little lonely right now, but JPO and Jacob will both be here tonight. But they told us to go ahead and get started talking about some news. But I'm not here alone by myself. I'm Austin Pezhal. Good friend Richie is here tonight with me, at least for right now, and then we'll have more people later. Richie, how's it going? How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, pretty good. Sort of a news worthy like Wrestlemania that we watched, Wrestlemania. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and sort of got to talk about. So yeah, ready to get stuck in. So it'd be good.
Yeah, WrestleMania 14. Yeah, we'll get to it in a little while. Yeah, not like the best one in ring wise. Like there was some highlights, but like a lot of stuff going on, and
Yeah,
some historic stuff, and it was the first real Attitude Era WrestleMania. So there's things going on. There's things to talk about. It wasn't boring. We'll say that.
yeah.
So yeah, but we'll get started as we wait for our partners here. Just talking about some current news and happenings and whatnot. And yeah, we can. I don't know. Do you want to start with Mercedes? Or you want to start with the Hall of Fame? What do you think? Because those are probably the two biggest stories.
I mean, we could. Yeah, we just start. I think with Mercedes. I feel like the Hall of Fame won't take much. We can start. Actually, no, I'd prefer if like maybe the other two. Yeah, we'll start with the Hall of Fame and see how far we go, and then if the other two aren't here, we'll just talk about the. We'll talk
Yeah,
about.
totally. Okay, yeah, we could talk about the Hall of Fame because we had three more entries announced over the course of the week this week, and I actually pulled the little banners that they put out, so we can talk about them as they came out in order. The first one that they announced was a tag team, the U.S. Express of Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda. Gotta be honest, Richie, had to look up who the U.S. Express was, which is not a good sign for your Hall of Fame entry on first watch, and we'll talk about it. But I have a mini rant about this, as we kind of did in our behind the scenes, in our group. So if you would just let me get it out of the way, and then we'll talk about it. So okay, this tag team comprised of two very, very accomplished workers in the business. I'm not denigrating them whatsoever. You have Barry Windham, you have Mike Rotunda. Barry Windham, who's technically already in the Hall of Fame as part of the Horsemen, at least as a stable, sort of like how some people in because of DX or NWO, things like that. But yeah, so he's kind of pseudo in there. My issue with this is not about the people involved, so please don't take this the wrong way, take it twisted. I would prefer if these guys just went in as singles wrestlers, because they both have had very accomplished careers, and then in their careers did different things involving tag teams or stables or what have you. Barry Windham, former NWA champion, had all those great matches with like Ric Flair and all that in the NWA. He tagged with a bunch of different people, part of the Horsemen, went on to even have a short run in the WWF. He was even on WrestleMania 14 very briefly, part of that tag team battle royal. Yeah, he was in there. Yeah, so I mean, but again, a very recognizable name and personality in the business. Mike Rotunda obviously started, kind of in the NWA as well. He did this U.S. Express tag team. He was part of the Varsity Club, which I think was a more famous kind of tag team from around that time with him and Rick Steiner.
Also, I would argue Money Inc. is more famous in this.
Yeah, and I was going to get to Money Inc. He becomes IRS in the WWF. Money Inc. with him and Ted DiBiase, a very popular tag team. They were tag team champions, very recognizable around that time. Kind of ran the table like 93, 94. Probably one of the bigger tag teams around that time, and then obviously became a backstage trainer and whatnot. Okay, I get that they're putting these guys in as a tag team so that all in one shot they can honor Bray Wyatt because they're both related to him. I get it.
Yeah.
But what the fuck? You're putting them in. Okay, you're putting them in as a tag team that did not make an impact in the business. I'll just flat out say it. The U.S. Express, like I said, I had to look up and see who it even was. You're putting in the U.S. Express. You already put in the Rock and Roll Express, another Express that's much more famous. You still have yet to put it in the Midnight Express, which is a way more famous Express and a way longer tag team and a way more successful tag team. That's an Express. Look, when you induct somebody as part of a stable or a tag team, you are saying that tag team or whatever have you, was a Hall of Fame tag team. Like I said, the Rock and Roll Express, the Steiner brothers, the Dudleys, who are some of the other ones like they put in there already, like tag team wise,
Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat, yeah, like I totally agree with Harlem Heat as a tag team. Would I put Stevie Ray in as a singles wrestler?
No
No,
way.
but a tag team, yes. Harlem Heat's awesome. They rule. You know what I mean? Like you're saying that tag team made a significant impact in this business, and I'm sorry, but facts are facts. U.S. Express was a tag team for 3 years. One of those years was in the NWA. One of those years was a 1-year run in WWF, and 1 year in Japan. And then they broke up and they went their separate ways for the rest of their career. I would argue you put in Money Inc. more than U.S. Express, Money Inc. is a tag team. It's more deserving. So I'm sorry, like I just don't agree with this in principle as far as like that tag team. Again, you announced both these guys as 2 separate singles wrestlers going into the Hall of Fame. I have no issue with that whatsoever. You say Mike Rotunda is going in the Hall of Fame. Great. You know what I mean? Like that dude made an impact. He's significant. You say Barry Windham goes in, absolutely. Like he's significant, dude. He had a hell of a career. I mean, am I off base, Richie? Please let me know if I'm off base.
No, because when you said U.S. Express, I also had to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
It generally sounds like a postal service. But like you can induct them into like it's weird just you couldn't induct them individually. I understand, you want to honor Bray. I still think, I mean, before it's all said and done, I actually expect maybe Bray will be the last announcement.
Inductee. It might be do you think they do the Warrior Award thing with him maybe?
Maybe.
Because that's the one they haven't announced yet, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but I think that there's something there. I think that they're probably gonna I don't know. If it was me, I would end up like Bray like next year, like have him headline the thing and have Paul Heyman just headline this one. But like I feel like having Bray there kind of maybe might overshadow it a little bit. But I suppose I don't know. Because I think Mike Rotunda is one of those guys where it's like, he's one of the bigger names not to have gone in yet, and like, he had a great career, and IRS is a memorable gimmick.
No, I mean, again, Money Inc., IRS, the Varsity Club, like he was everywhere. Like he is again, and then he became a trainer. Like he was, produced a second generation star with Bray Wyatt. Like I get it. Like you put in Mike Rotunda, I have no issues. Mike Rotunda, cool, great. Single superstar, Mike Rotunda, cool. I mean, you put Coco Beware and fucking Godfather in there for fuck's sakes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine with Mike Rotunda going in there. It's just, to me, it's a way to, like, save a space on the Hall of Fame ballot, which is weird. Like, to me, they were like, somebody looked it up on the Wikipedia and was like, hey, did you know these guys tag team together once for, like, a year? Oh, let's just induct them as a tag team. Like, I don't understand the logic behind that. I just don't. Yeah. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Like, tell me, but I don't think I am. Like, because that's what you're saying with this pick.
And like I said in the chat, there are people, there are Attitude Era teams, and like not like you wouldn't you don't think of straight away who are legendary who are available that I would induct over them. Like say along the run, like APA. I mean,
even too cool to a degree. I would, I mean, you haven't done the Hardys and Edge and Christian yet, obviously for reasons because they're in AEW. I get that, but you've done the Dudleys, these other teams that, again, the Midnight Express is not in yet. I mean, come on.
Demolition.
What are we doing? I mean, we talked about Demolition. Demolition is now that, especially now that Vince is gone and there's much more opportunity. Like, some of these guys had a problem with Vince, but he's gone now. Like, you could easily do this stuff.
The Quebecers.
Sure, why not? I mean, the New Age Outlaws that we saw tonight. Some of these guys that in their own thing. Like, it's strange to me. I would put in the natural disasters, those guys. There's just other tag teams that I feel like you could have thrown in there that would make a little more sense, that were more established, that were together for longer, that made more of an impact. That's what I'm talking about. People that made an impact. When I have to look these guys up on, or just had to look up the tag team name and find out who it was. And when I found out who it was, again, I said Mike Rotunda, Barry Windham, cool. Like, but what was the problem with inducting them as singles wrestlers? I don't understand that logic there. So it's just me.
Yeah, I just feel like and even maybe tag teams that
I found a list real quick. So just for some for context, right? Okay, so I found a thing that said and this was just a few months ago, so this is up to date. So the 12 tag teams that are in the Hall of Fame as of right now, okay, and we'll say yeah or nay. Okay, the Bushwhackers, yeah, those dudes are around
Yeah.
forever. You know what I mean? Sure, absolutely. The Bella Twins, I guess, sure, as a female tag team,
I get
sure.
I as much as I'm not like the biggest fan, like if you actually see interviews with people with women like today, like they list Bella Twins as a lot of their influence. So
Well,
you know,
that and the reality show stuff or whatever. So I
yeah,
get it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's fine. The Blackjacks, sure, for the 80s, like I'd be down with that. Yeah, because they were a
yeah,
big influence on like the APA and Bradshaw and all those guys. So I get that. The Hart Foundation, obviously, great, fantastic. You know, again, could you
well,
induct Bret Hart as a single? Of course you could, but like you put Jim Neidhart in there as part of the Hart Foundation, hell yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like that's where he was at his best.
I would also say that, I mean, like they could induct the Hart Foundation as a faction as well, but
Yeah,
with Brian,
right.
Brian Pillman and Davey Boy Smith and
Yeah.
but
You got the Valiant brothers. So yeah, I'm down with that. Jimmy
yeah,
and Johnny Valiant. Yeah, sure. The Rock and Roll Express, as we talked about, of course, absolutely,
yeah,
that's a shoe in. The Wild Samoans, of course, very influential, total shoe in.
yeah,
You know, the Samoan
yeah,
family, of course. Offensica, the Steiner brothers, of course, that's a shoe in, like no problem. The Briscoe brothers, you know, Jack and Jerry, total
mhm,
shoe in, especially
yeah,
for like 70s wrestling. The Funks, yeah, Terry and Dory, totally. I'm with that. The Legion of Doom / Road Wars, who were on the show again that we're talking about, by the way. But yeah, the Road Wars, of course, they're a shoe in, and the Dudley Boys. All shoe ins that I would say, you know what? Absolutely. Like, no problem. All those guys made an impact one way or another. I think you put the US Express in there and they do this list again next year, they're going to be ranked number 13. You know, like
yeah,
to me, it's just like I don't understand the logic here. So it's just
yeah.
my rant.
Or I even like I don't know, like if you look at like maybe tag teams that maybe didn't make much of an impact in WWE necessarily, or had but like in another promotion, did very well. Like I mean, we can ignore their WWE run because it was really bad, but like Public Enemy in ECW, they were
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, they were influential. I would put the Public Enemy, I would put the Nasty Boys in over them. Like, as
yeah,
much as like they were around for forever. So, I mean, you know, they did stuff and they were recognizable. Yeah. I mean, they're attack the Pit Bulls even to a degree in
yeah,
ECW. How about
yeah,
the gang? How about the Gangsters? New
the
Jack
gang,
and Mustafa. I would put them in and over,
yeah,
some of these guys just as a tag. We're talking as a tag team. I'm not talking about again singles wrestlers and their merits as that. I mean, as a influential tag team.
yeah, yeah. So there's a quite that like honestly, it'd be like putting in like trying to think of like a setting that's like only that was together very briefly, like something like I don't know. It's probably
Head cheese.
Head Cheese, Charlie Haas and Rico.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, again, the world's greatest tag team. I would put in over before them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Charlie House, Shelton Benjamin. I would put in La Resistance before them, who were around together for like 4 years, longer than them. You know, maybe made more of an impact.
London and
Like,
Kendrick.
yeah, there's plenty of tag teams that I would just put in before them. The Los Guerreros, as a tag team, Chavo and Eddie.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying. We can rattle off forever. I don't want to rattle on too long. But that's just my little mini rant. Let me know in the comments if I'm completely off base, but I don't think I am because that's what you're saying with this. But whatever. Moving on to the next one that was announced. We had Muhammad Ali going in for the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. This is another one I completely agree with. This is pretty much a shoe-in as well. I'm surprised they didn't do this one fairly earlier. Again, I think they said most people that were involved in that, if not all the people, Richie, with now including this, that were involved in that WrestleMania 1 main event are like in the Hall of Fame now or going into the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
He was like the last one that was a part of that as the guest enforcer. Again, another weird parallel to tonight, Richie. We're talking about a boxer that was a guest enforcer for the main event. You know what I mean? So another weird parallel to WrestleMania 14 tonight that we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, not only because he was obviously he'll probably live on to be obviously one of the great the most famous boxers of all time, but and his influence helped that show. But also, if you look past WrestleMania, the match he had with Antonio Inoki,
Right. Right.
It was very, very well, ignore the quality of the match, but it was very highly.
It's a big deal at the time, though. It
Yeah,
was like the first real big like wrestler versus boxer match that we ever had, and yeah, Antonio Inoki was the biggest Japanese star at the time against one of the biggest sort of personalities from America. Like that was a big deal at the time in Japan. And the only thing I would add is his Muhammad Ali. If you go back and look at his promos from like the 60s, 70s, like he would cut on his opponents, it was very wrestler, like style.
yeah.
And a lot of wrestlers have said they took a lot of his style for their promos. So a lot of people got influence from their promo style from him.
Yeah, he's very. Reminds me of like Dusty Rhodes, very kind of. It's it is very restless. So it makes a lot of sense for him to go. And I think we were talking about last week about like, well, maybe I just not on the show, but just in general, like what celebrities sort of who are left would you put in? But I don't think we even thought about Muhammad Ali, but he makes a lot of sense. But yeah,
I have one other one that they showed briefly on WrestleMania 14 that I mentioned that I think could be a shoe in, and he might get in the next couple of years.
I have one that they showed on WrestleMania 14 as well. I don't know if he'd be celebrity,
but I've got a definite celebrity like that I would put in. I mean, I'll or if you want to say it right now, they showed they were doing video packages and they showed a clip of Regis and Stone Cold. Regis Philbin should be in.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Regis not only did a couple of guest ring announcer spots at not only WrestleMania but a couple other pay-per-views, but the fact that he was one of the few talk show hosts that would not just every now and then have like a wrestler on a show, like sometimes you'd see a wrestler on Conan or on the Tonight Show or whatever, blah, blah. He had wrestlers on the show all the damn time, like constantly. Yeah. Like anytime they were nearby, he would have like, not necessarily the biggest guys you would think, like a Hulk Hogan or a Ric Flair. Like, I saw clips where he had Rick Rude on the show. He'd have Bobby the Brain Heenan on the show. He had Yokozuna. He had, he had the genius Lenny Poffo on the show. Like, he'd have like everybody, and he was he was a huge wrestling fan, and he would put these guys on just to promote SummerSlam or WrestleMania or whatever. And like, I would argue that Regis would be a shoe-in, and I'd be totally for that if he got in.
Yeah. The guy I was thinking of is like he's basically just famous because of his involvement in wrestling, and that's Chris Warren, the guy from the DX band.
Oh yeah, no, I could see that as well. Yeah, just for doing all the different themes. But then again, Jim Johnston isn't in yet, and I would put him in first.
Yeah.
Although I think he had problems with Vince, so again, now that Vince is gone, let's get Jim Johnston in there because that dude totally deserves. He came up with some of the most iconic theme songs of all time. Like I say, put that guy in, like for sure.
I mean, if we're talking about like musicians and theme songs, I'm surprised that like Lemmy's not in yet.
Oh yeah, for Motorhead, yeah, because I mean all the different songs he did for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you put Kid Rock in, why not put Lemmy? So, or hell, even Fred Durst to a degree. I mean, he did appearances here and there and whatnot, and contributed some stuff. So he was even a playable character in one of the SmackDown games.
And I'd argue that the song "My Way" was a kind of like made. It was one of the things that people think about when they think of WrestleMania 17. That video package the
Rock Austin package that was awesome.
Yeah. He'd be deserving. So when you get talking to you, it's like there's still a few more here.
No, I mean there's definitely celebrities that I would put in over other celebrities, you know what I mean? And no, Muhammad Ali for sure, deserving of one of those spots. Yeah, I mean for the like you said, the Inoki thing and the fact that he came off as a wrestling personality as well. I think he was a wrestling fan. I think he's talking about how he used to go to Gorgeous George matches back in the 60s. So he was kind of influenced by wrestling, and subsequently his promos influenced other people in wrestling. So it came all full circle, and he did a lot of the same tactics and whatnot. So I know he's a wrestling fan, which is why he was involved. But for sure, I think with that, I saw somebody confirm that's pretty much everybody who was involved in that original WrestleMania 1 main event. So that's pretty cool.
I feel like you can tell, like with boxing and then with like MMA, who wrestling fans is like, when someone's like when I heard that Conor McGregor watches wrestling, I'm like, of course he does. I can tell.
Chael Sonnen, 100% is a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
no, I mean, there's compilations of Chael Sonnen cutting wrestling promos, basically. You know what I mean? Just being like a heel wrestling guy, like, of course.
I think Chael talks about the fact that the idea that Vince wanted him in WWE at one
He
point.
almost went. Yeah, he almost signed a contract. He was very close. Yeah, he's done interviews talking about that he was actually close to coming in and doing some stuff. It just kind of fell through and never happened. But yeah, we were close to getting Chael.
Yeah, Daniel Cormier, big fan. So yeah,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm sure those guys are big fans. And the final one, again, a name I've heard floated around a lot. I've not seen a lot of his actual matches, but I know the name when it came up. So I may have to see if, like, Cornette or somebody talks about him, on his podcast and whatnot, and gives a little more insight because, he's, say what you will about Cornette, but he knows wrestling history. He's a historian. He knows a lot of stuff about these guys. He has stories, for days and whatnot. But yeah, Thunderbolt Patterson, who, as I said in the group, I knew the name just from hearing Cornette and other guys in old shooter interviews talk about how he kind of got blacklisted from some territories for trying to start a wrestling union. So he was one of the first guys to try to advocate for that, and some bookers tried to blacklist him for that, back in the 70s and whatnot. And hey, that's still a touchy subject when people try to do it now, much less back in the 70s.
It is, yeah. I find that it is sort of interesting where it's like, it's cool that, like, he's probably he's getting sort of recognition, but it's also like, he's getting, he was influential because he tried to stand up for like wrestlers' rights and unionizing, but like there's wrestlers trying to do that now, and you probably ended, and if they tried to do that now, and like the companies that block them, so it's like, yeah, it's not like anything, it's not like if things had changed and like he was a cat, you could argue, oh, he might have been the catalyst of change, then that would have been
right,
cool.
yeah, but it hasn't changed. It was
so like, yeah, like he tried, and he tried, and then we're inducting it. We're inducting him, but we also don't agree with that.
Right. Yeah, we don't agree with it. No, I understand. Yeah, it's a strange thing, but I did look him up a little bit. Yeah, he definitely bounced around a lot of the territories. From what I saw, it was mainly kind of upper Midwest. Michigan, Detroit, that sort of thing. A little bit of Ohio, Cincinnati, whatnot. Yeah, around his tenure, mostly 70s and 80s. But they always have a video package or whatnot. And like I said, I'll look out for maybe some clips of like Cornette or somebody to talk about him because he's been talking about a bunch of them as they've been announced. For sure. So we'll keep an eye out. But yeah, there's always like one of them that I'm not as familiar with, but that's totally fine. Maybe it's somebody that had more influence than I knew of. As a thing, but I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, it actually, I mean, this is sort of Hall of Fame related. There was a thing that came out, like the news sort of came out that like apparently like they're going to be going with like sort of the Vince had this sort of I don't know sort of rule of Hall of Fame where it's like obviously there was like you had your headliner, but then you had your tag team, and then a woman has to be inducted, and also like person of color or a black person has to be inducted.
Yeah,
so I think they're going with that trend. But just it's interesting about like it's like I'd hope that I'm luckily I think there's still a few to choose from, but like you don't want to get to that point where I'm like, hey, we're inducting you because you work for our company and you're
black. Yeah. I mean, I would say it probably may have been had he not been working for AEW, I could see Mark Henry going in, but he's with AEW right now.
Mark Henry's in. Mark Henry.
Oh, is he already in? Yeah, I have a hard time remembering who's in and who's not in, like over these years.
But I was going to say, I mean, he's not black, but
D'Lo Brown.
Yeah, D'Lo Brown. I mean, yeah, there are people like there are people in AEW that I would say if it weren't for AEW, they'd be in. Like I mean, he's not black or anything, but Paul White or
Oh, of course, yeah. He'll get in eventually once he actually retires. I would be sure.
Yeah, Christian and what we talked about, but I expect at some point because he hasn't retired yet, but like, and Shawn Michaels basically said this, but Shelton Benjamin,
yeah, totally. Well, yeah, I can see that because he's kind of been off and on with the company for the better part of 20 years now, anyways. Just kind of in and out, like and all through. I remember seeing Richie a house show in 2002 before he debuted on TV. It was Shelton Benjamin teamed with Randy Orton. This is before they were both on TV against like Hardcore Holly and like somebody, and this is like before they were around. And I remember going to another house show where Randy Orton wrestled Hardcore Holly, and again, this is like 2001. I mean, this is before he debuted, like that, and we all were like, who? And everyone was like, Hardcore Holly's gonna mess up this rookie. You know what I mean? Like it was, but it was kind of cool. Sometimes you went to house shows around the time, you get to see some of those dudes like before they make their TV debut. You know, just working in the ring, just working out. You know,
Yeah.
usually do tag team matches and whatnot, doing dark matches. So
Yeah.
that dude's been around forever.
The only like two other sort of black guys I could think of at the moment, like one still working for the company, but he's definitely showing at some point. R-Truth.
Oh, of course. Yeah. As soon as, I mean, they're just having fun. And I think part of it with him being as old as he is, I think they're just letting him do his gimmick and have fun while not having to wrestle a lot. You know, I mean, obviously he's going to wrestle at WrestleMania. We'll talk about that because we got some more matches announced. But yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that he's got a job and doesn't have to bump very much. You know, and just does what he does, and he's still over as anything. You know, 20 years later.
And he doesn't look like in his 50s, but
yeah. No, he's a total shoe-in. Yeah, he's had a hell of a career. So yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, he will get in at some point. So yeah, there are those guys still out there. I would say.
And like I think we talked about it before, but yeah, I'd also make the case for like Viscera. Big Daddy V.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see them putting him in posthumously. Obviously, yeah, that would be a big one because that dude was around forever, and I'm all about. I like Viscera even just as a wrestler. I like his style a lot. I like weird guys like that, like Viscera and Albert. I'm like bigger fans of than most people. You know, it's I like those guys. So well, why don't we move on to we just kind of mentioned it, so we'll go into it. We got some more WrestleMania matches kind of officially announced. So we have Gunther's opponent for WrestleMania, which will be Sami Zayn officially after that gauntlet match, right, with a bunch of those guys. And then it came down to Sami and Chad Gable. I know a lot of people were rooting for Chad Gable to finish his story with Gunther. And theoretically, they still could turn it into a three-way, but I don't think they will. But we'll see.
I think they're either going to go like, yeah, I mean, I did see a meme which is kind of funny. It was just like, like, oh, I don't know. I'm so happy for like Sami Zayn to overcome adversity for the 7th time in 2 years or something. But it's kind of fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. But like, I could either see a situation where like the less likely would be triple threat or actually I could see three situations playing out. Either triple threat, Gunther wins by Chad Gable, like Chad Gable costing Sami Zayn the match, or Sami Zayn wins and Chad Gable's Sami Zayn's first challenger. I think the third one's more likely.
Okay. But we have. Yeah. I mean, regardless, it'll be a hell of a match. I mean, those guys will great work, especially to give them some time. Like those guys will tear it down. I mean, it's essentially El Generico versus Walter, which I always wanted to see. I think back then, I don't know if they ever had a match like in Europe or something. They might have crossed paths before they were signed. I'd have to fact check that and look it up. Maybe I will in a minute.
Also, this is going to sound, but it was good. The Sheamus and Gunther was good because like Sheamus is really white, so like when he
it's all red.
It's all red, and Sami Zayn's very white as well.
Oh so, no, 100%. He'll get lit up. Oh, and Sami because it's WrestleMania will tell him to light him up. You know what I mean? Like he will light him up with those chops, and he'll take it just because it's a big match. So I can see that. But yeah, we've got our tag team situation with the Judgment Day. There will officially be a ladder match. So it'll be a 6-pack challenge ladder match with 6 teams, including the Judgment Day. And I guess they're having qualifying matches. Am I right? Coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think that's for it. Yeah. So having qualifying matches. So that's an interesting way. I actually, when we could get in the big picture, I could see this as I don't when we can get in predictions, but yeah, it could be a way to get the tag titles off them, and then to free Damian Priest just to have the Money in the Bank and try to cash in at the end of the match between Drew and Seth.
I could definitely see that if that happens because they're both on. I mean, theoretically on. Oh no, well, yeah. I mean, because Damian that would be on night 2, so he wouldn't have to do it the same night. He could do it the next night, right? Yeah, and still have a briefcase. So yeah, I mean, he or at least interfere and make it a 3-way, right? Like sort of how Seth did when he cashed in, right, and made his match a 3-way. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, especially because I don't expect it at this point, but like if they don't come to terms on contract, and Drew is leaving. I could see a situation where Drew wins, and then Damien just beats him.
Damien cashes in,
and then Drew's just like, "Fuck this! This keeps happening. I'm out of here." So yeah, and then let's see your program. But as far as the tag teams go, I mean, R-Truth will fix in there probably with them. I'm guessing with the Miz.
R-Truth and Miz, I think, are a shoe-in to be one of the teams. I think DIY is a shoe-in to be one of the teams. They've been pretty hot right now.
I would say Catch Republic as well.
Because they're kind of hot right now as well. I could see possibly Imperium, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe just because they're not on the card and they're always popular. New Day.
New Day, and then what is it? Otis and was it the
Otis and Gable?
Yeah. I mean, if Gable's not going to be in the Intercontinental match, you know what I mean? He could still be in there. What's their team called? What the hell? Their little faction thing, whatever they're called. Him and Tozawa and all those guys. I don't remember. I know they used to be called Heavy Machinery. I don't remember what they're called now. Forgive me. I don't know, whatever. But Otis's team, maybe get him in. Just because again, they always like to have these ladder matches with at least one or two big guys, that can just do big moves. You can see Otis doing, big splashes and stuff.
A big team I can see in there is Authors of Pain.
That would be awesome because, again, I love seeing at least one big team or a couple big guys doing the ladder spots that can do the big, power bombs or the big splashes, the big stuff that can, like, break the ladders, all that kind of stuff. And then have the other guys, flying around all over the place. So, I could definitely see that happening. We'll see because, I guess there'll be some matches set up over the next few weeks. So that's cool. There wasn't much happening as far as the main event situation. Rock and Roman had their little confrontation on SmackDown with Seth and Cody, except for the fact they didn't really say anything. It's just a whole lot of nothing, just a couple insults here and there. I will say Rock's entrance was fire. That entrance was
awesome. They've healed up
the lightning. Cool. Yeah, they healed it up a little bit. The lightning was great when it lit up the lightning, and then he was just standing there. That was great. So I mean, I'm glad Rock's kind of leaning into it. We'll talk about that because oddly enough, 26 years ago today, WrestleMania 18, Rocky sucks, and now 26 years later, Rocky sucks. So I mean, weird parallels to the show we're watching.
I guess Cody slapped him. I guess that was notable, but
Cody slapped him, but that's really the only thing that happened in that segment. It was kind of a nothing burger of a segment when you think about what actually happened, but it was still, cool. Maybe it's because it took 9 minutes to get everybody to the ring between Rock and Roman. and then with Seth and Cody coming in through the crowd, another 3 or 4 minutes. So 12 minutes of the 20 that they uploaded to the WWE YouTube channel was entrances. So
and because the Rock is a Rock and they let him go, he tends to go over sometimes. Because that happened with he went over. I think it was not this last SmackDown, his segment went over. So and that was Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi, and then they basically literally had a 3-minute match where Naomi looked like she got squashed because obviously Tiffany Stratton was supposed to win, but it's that wasn't meant to be the case. But
right, yeah. That's really the only news kind of on the WrestleMania front. Obviously, I'm sure they'll fill out the rest of the card here within the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll get some more undercard matches, and we'll get whatever officially will be the Logan Paul match. They haven't really said who he's going to face yet. I could see that also possibly being kind of a multi-man match, maybe a 4-way or something.
It's probably going to be Randy Orton more likely, but it might be other people.
We'll see if they add other people to it or not. But him and Orton would be great.
I can see Kevin Owens getting added to that too.
Or even AJ to a degree, so they could do a 4-way. I don't know.
They might be doing AJ and LA Knight, but they could merge those two feuds.
So I'm sure we'll get confirmation on Logan. I'm sure will show up on some SmackDown, obviously between here and WrestleMania, and we'll see kind of what direction they lean in. So we'll get some more matches here the next few weeks, but at least we got a few more officially. And then the only other real big notable thing, obviously, we got Big Business and Mercedes Moné making her official kind of in-ring on camera debut. And they at least did upload the promo, Richie, to the AEW YouTube page. So I was able to watch the entrance and the promo at least. And then they uploaded the finish to the Willow match where she kind of ran in there and gave her finish to Julia Hart. So so they at least uploaded kind of all of her stuff, and promoted that. So I got to see her entrance with her CEO, kind of gimmick and music that lays heavy on the CEO, literally CEO, and whatnot. So yeah, we got that, and she cut a promo about how she's excited to be there, happy to kind of change the face of AEW women's wrestling, and basically all the same stuff, make an impact. Thank you guys for welcoming me, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it was a pretty standard welcome promo. You know what I mean? I did make one meme just because how AEW's been having issues with some crowds lately, especially for Dynamite. So I said, oh, hold on. The face you make when you see all the empty Dynamite seats. So sorry, Mercedes, but you got to be facing that hard camera that's not exactly full most of the time for Dynamite, as we've seen on social media. Hopefully, at least for the pay-per-views and whatnot, they will be. They usually are, to be fair. But start running smaller venues, AEW. You'll benefit from it. Stop running 2,000-seat arenas for Dynamite. Anyways, what'd you think of the whole promo and debut and whatnot, and kind of what direction they might be going for?
Yeah, I think the promo, it was good. It was nothing like like spectacular or anything, but obviously she's really over. It was a good acquisition. Obviously a great acquisition.
Acquisition, yes.
Acquisition for AEW. But I think she's going to be great. Putting it out there with I mean, I understand why you wouldn't you wouldn't go with her and Tony Storm. You don't want to. Tony Storm's really hot right at the moment. You don't want to like.
You don't want to blow that feud up immediately. Like you want to build up to it a little bit.
Because but at the same time, it's like okay. Like she's going to be feuding. It looks like she's going to be feuding Julia Hart. Julia Hart ain't winning that match. So
right, no, that's going to be the one that whatever her first Monet's first match on a pay-per-view when we do our prediction shows, that'll be the one shoe-in where it's like, there's no way she's much like Will Ospreay, Takeshita. It's like, no offense to Takeshita, he's a great wrestler, but he ain't fucking losing that match. Come on now, no way. Not his official debut match. You know what I mean?
I do tend to agree with Brian Alvarez when he said like because they made it so obvious and like maybe it'd be a way to get more tickets because they made it so obvious. Like you could have just said Mercedes is gonna be there. Just say, hey, Mercedes. You kind of just.
Well, yeah. Oh, haven't they already shown did they already show the graphic that she was all elite? Have they already shown that on TV, or was that like a social media thing or something?
That was a social media thing, but like they basically were saying stuff.
They were dancing around it, but yeah, if you want to sell tickets, just say she's gonna make her first official in-ring appearance. You know what I mean? You don't have to say match. You can just say in-ring appearance because that's what it was. In Boston, a big business. That's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. It's fine. People will come to see that.
Yeah, because I like surprises and whatever, but sometimes it's it makes sense to announce things because people will people who don't watch week to week will tune in and go, oh shit,
right.
I found it weird that they made because it was worst kept secret ever, but like they made the Okada thing, surprise. It's just like, no, you should just say you signed him.
Say Okada, and a lot of people will be excited about that. I am surprised with Okada that he's already had 2 on-screen TV matches. I thought they would have maybe saved his first official match like Ospreay for a pay-per-view.
And also, I mean, we can get into that. He's going to do the match with Eddie Kingston for the Intercontinental Championship next week.
Week, I don't understand that because, I don't get it because that could be a match that people would really want to see. People would want to pay for it, and you're giving it away on free television. Like that's the thing of like, I hate to say it, that's the thing that WCW used to do, where like they would book a big championship match for like Nitro. and it'd be like, people would pay for this, right?
Yeah.
Like if you, well, it's the same thing with what was it, Gunther and Chad Gable? You could have put that on Elimination Chamber. People might have paid for that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or I mean, I know that you're not like paying for it like by paper. It's like Peacock, but a live event, people would tune in for that. You know what I mean? Like people want to see that instead of just on Raw.
Yeah, but I guess that's the same with, like, I mean, I know there's some circumstances that maybe with Uso's traveling thing, but like Jey Uso and Gunther, that would have been great. Like,
that would have been a pay-per-view match. Yeah, people would have tuned in to see that. That would have been great. Yeah, and especially with that card being, only 4 matches as it was. And yeah, I get it if it was a travel issue, but you could have built up the Uso and had him face somebody else just in the meantime, even if you beat somebody, and just have him at least on the show, like as an attraction. You know what I mean? Like, even if it would have been a 10-minute match with somebody else, I just feel like you could have used him in some way, and that would have been, something people would have paid to see. Just for me personally. Yeah. I mean, I feel like Gunther's an attraction right now with that title. Like, he's the workhorse champion that people are tuning in to see his matches.
Yeah. No, he definitely is. So hopefully maybe this year, you definitely see like the Intercontinental title being featured more, whether Sammy B wins WrestleMania or Gunther retains. But yeah, I do want to have the Intercontinental title main event. Like, that's not unheard of.
You mean what do you mean, like night 1 or something, or
no, not necessarily WrestleMania. I mean, like, just a pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, no, as a paper. Well, I mean, they've done women's matches. Well, look at the Rhea Ripley thing, main evented the Elite Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, it wasn't even the Chamber main eventing the Chamber. They had Roman and Sami Zayn headline the Royal Rumble show. It wasn't even the Royal Rumble. Last year. So I mean, yeah, that's not like unprecedented for a non-Big Four pay-per-view.
Yeah. So I could see that, and I don't know. But hopefully, I mean, the Intercontinental title has been more than it has in the past. So hopefully, I just hope they, do. And Gunther has defended it more than obviously like Roman Reigns. But yeah, it would just be nice to see him like more on pay-per-views, I guess.
No, I totally understand. So, no, that's most of the news I have. Unless you had anything other little notes of anything you want to talk about before we jump into WrestleMania 14.
Not particularly. There's. Oh, I mean, we can get into it because I don't know. I mean, it's hard to get into it because I don't even know exactly what happened. But like Kevin Kelly got fired. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, was he on TV that much? I feel like he was even a kind of an off and on announcer, depending on the day, right?
Yeah, but it was like the situation was a bit weird because it was like, I think he went on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. By the way, it's weird. It's interesting how X hasn't hasn't caught on that people that the articles always have to say X, formerly Twitter. Like, I think he was complaining about like, hey, I've been benched. They don't, I'm really good or whatever. And there was a thing, I think, maybe had a disagreement about with Ian Riccaboni about like something. So, and then I think there was a thing where they thought maybe his commentary wasn't up to a certain standard, and they didn't like how he was whinging on Twitter, so they got rid of it. And then of course, like, Tony Khan was asked about it recently, and he gave a no comment answer, which I'm a bit I'm two minds about that. I'm like, you shouldn't be like, fuck it. I don't expect him to be like, screw him. And I'm glad we got rid of him.
Right.
But he's just known to, like, if you go into this like sort of press conference thing, where you're like, hey,
you're gonna get asked about it.
Wrestling journalists, I want scoops. They're gonna ask you these things. Just come up with a more detailed non-answer.
Or just say more details will come out about it later or something like that, or whatever. Like, you're just, there's ways you can skirt around it without saying a lot, but acknowledge it, at least a little bit. Yeah. Hey, here's a weird idea, Richie. You know how Kevin Kelly's like still really good and you could argue even better than he used to be? Hey, WWE, hire him back.
hire him back, and don't do him as a commentator, not as just a back.
No,
Not a
as a
backstage.
commentator, because he's good.
He's good. Yes,
And it seems like you've got a gap now since you fired what's his name, right?
Kevin Patrick. Yeah.
Yeah, and and you still didn't move Vic Joseph up. Hey, and Corey Graves is weird as a play-by-play guy. That's just kind of unnatural to me personally. Like
Yeah.
I just find it odd.
Because
Hey,
he can't really be a heel because he's a play-by-play.
right, yeah, like so I don't know. Kevin Kelly has a history with you guys. He's still really good. The fans respect and like him now as a commentator. Hire him back. Give him another shot. You got a guy with built-in experience that knows what he's doing on television. Like you don't even have to like retrain. And with Triple H there instead of Vince, he's not going to be blasting in his ear. He's going to be able to be a announcer. I think people would like that personally.
Yeah, that's the problem. Hopefully they get, and then hopefully after all these failed experiments, they get off the train of, hey, we can hire a sports announcer and turn him into a wrestling commentator. It doesn't work.
I'm sorry. It doesn't work. Kevin Kelly knows wrestling. Let him be a wrestling commentator and hire him back. That's what I was hoping Mauro Ranallo would consider coming back now that Vince is gone. But, I don't think that'll ever happen because I know he's still a wrestling fan. But maybe he's good with boxing now because I know he still does boxing and other
MMA and the occasional MMA stuff as well.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So maybe he's busy with that. But yeah, hey, Kevin Kelly's a free agent. He's available. Grab him. He's good. He's good. Even if you have to move somebody up from NXT and put him on NXT, I would be fine with that. That would be great. Yeah. So I don't know, just a thought if I was, had any kind of say or influence. But yeah, so no, that'll probably do it for our news. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get one or two more Hall of Fame announcements. They're probably winding it down. It's only be one or two more, right? So maybe a female, maybe a Warrior Award, something like that. That's about all we got left, essentially. For this class, and we'll see if we get some more WrestleMania stuff throughout the week. So, but other than that, speaking of WrestleMania, this was your pick, Richie. Any particular reasons why you picked WrestleMania 14 for this one? Maybe behind the scenes?
I just know we've talked about like WrestleMania 19 or whatever. Like we all know that's
great.
That's great. We all know WrestleMania 17 is great. I just feel like I think sort of WrestleMania 14, other than like people know like the end with obviously Tyson punching Shawn Michaels and Austin finally winning the title and kind of cementing really sort of hard work paying off and really being one of the most over people in wrestling at that time. But I forget I forgot overall what where it sits,
how the show is overall, just as a
show.
The show
is overall. I mean, I remember Undertaker and Kane as well, just because it was Kane's first WrestleMania. But so it was just like it was probably a good show to do a retro review on because I don't. My memory of it is kind of foggy as opposed to like the other ones where I love them, but I make a point to watch, them every couple of years. So.
Right. No, and we're going to talk about WrestleMania 19. We will that week right before WrestleMania because again, we know that one's pretty great and an awesome card. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, and I think I was telling you guys last week. I think the last time I watched this one was when I was really starting to get into wrestling, like 2001, 2002, that sort of thing. And I was watching old stuff, so I was renting the tapes from Blockbuster, that they would have a couple of wrestling tapes. So I watched like King of the Ring '98, with the Hell in a Cell. I watched like Backlash '99. I think I watched WrestleMania 14 and 15. Some of the ones that they didn't have a huge section, but they did have some pay-per-views, on tape. So I watched a lot of those. So I think that's the last time I had watched WrestleMania 14. And I remember it being like at the time decent, but I was also like 16 or 17 as opposed to 37, turning 38 in a minute. So, my wrestling tastes have changed. So, it's like I didn't remember either if this one was like overall. I remember the main event. I didn't remember a whole lot else besides that. So,
I feel like WrestleMania didn't become like this like huge I mean that they hyped it up as like kind of a thing where it's like, oh, this is like the biggest attended show in Boston, which I don't believe. I'm sure that was
or the most money making show in Boston like ever or something, like money making sporting event or gate, like and even then, I don't know about that because like They probably had a Super Bowl in Boston at some
Yeah,
point. You know?
yeah, but but I guess the point I was making is that like I don't know whether like WrestleMania became this like big like highly like really highly attended like thing regularly until like WrestleMania 17 maybe.
17, yeah, because that was the Astrodome in Houston, which
After
was like
yeah,
55 or 60,000. The one we're going
yeah,
to talk about 19 was at Safeco Field in Seattle, which was like 45,000. That was a big baseball stadium, so
yeah,
that was maybe even 50 with the field seats.
yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like well, I mean they scaled it back a little bit. I remember WrestleMania 20 was Madison Square Garden, so they cut it back a little bit just for history's sake for that one. But then WrestleMania 20 was at a bigger place in Los Angeles, like that sort of thing. So yeah, I feel like it got to a point where they just started booking those like 40 plus thousand and more, seat places, and it's kind of stuck with that for a while.
yeah. Because like I can't remember like 15 or WrestleMania 2000 being in like particularly. It just felt like it was a more important show, but it felt like in a normal venue that they would normally run shows at.
No. They definitely were. Yeah. And speaking of that, yeah, this is WrestleMania 14 from the Fleet Center in Boston, which I definitely remember was just an arena they ran a lot. In Boston, it was like the Gund Arena in Cleveland and, Madison Square Garden. Yeah, these arenas they just ran a lot. But, probably only holds 15 or 16,000. I didn't catch the attendance, but, again, a sold out crowd, rightfully so. But I feel like they would have sold it out even for Raw around this time because, Attitude Era was hot, Austin was hot. DX was hot, you know what I mean? Like they were selling it everywhere anyways. So yeah, but yeah, I get what you mean. It felt like a big show, but it kind of lacked that like epic WrestleMania feel. Yeah, like that we would get for just because of the size for like 17 and 19, that sort of thing. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So March 19th, we should say 1998. Like I said, in Boston, Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, of course, on commentary. And we open with a couple of teams coming down to the ring, but a bunch of teams already in the ring, which I didn't see coming because.
I was like, I wonder if they're going to win.
Probably. Yeah, I wonder who's going to win when we should say the first one we see coming out is Kama and Farouk of the Nation of Domination. But then the guys who get the last big entrance are the returning Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom 2000, LOD 2000, we should say, because 2000 was on their tights, and a little bit different. Shoulder pads because they had like a mask with the shoulder pads.
They're wearing basically helmets with them.
Basically helmets. Yeah, like Mad Max helmets that go along with the shoulder pads. With Sable, who looked great tonight, I'll say. But again, a weird parallel that Sable is now in jail. Sunny. Oh, Sable. No, Sunny. Yeah, sorry. Sable's later. But yeah, Sunny, who was with them, who looked great, by the way. I'll give her that. She had this kind of like tassel thing on. She looked great, and the crowd went nuts for her. So she looked good. As far as I could tell, because even the Wikipedia didn't list all of them. From what I could tell from the eliminations and what I could just tell from the ring, there was the Nation, LOD, the New Midnight Express of Bob and Bart. There was the DOA, which was the Harris brothers. The Headbangers, Bradshaw and Chains as a random tag team. Barry Windham tagging with somebody. I don't know who. You had Sniper.
Later, and then
you had Sniper and Recon from the Truth Commission. You had Steve Blackman and somebody.
I remember this because it was. I remember this because there's the most random tag team ever. It was Steve Blackman and Flash Funk.
Oh, Flash Funk. That's right. Because thought I saw Too Cold Scorpio, but I didn't know who he was teaming with.
And I'm like, what? You just went. You went on like WWE 2K and went.
Yeah, you picked the hat, the random team.
You put a square, went random. There you go.
Technically, we had Too Cool, not called Too Cool, because it was Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor who were tagging together. Too much, whatever. I don't think they had a name at this time. The Rock and Roll Express were in there unceremoniously, because it's around their time they had their short run. The Godwins, Los Bariquas, and then maybe one or two others. And I think, who else is joining our Battle Royal? Jacob Barber. How's it going? Hey, buddy.
It's going. It's been a long day, but I'm
JPO had to drop out. I thought it was just going to be me and Richie. Yeah, it's all good. We just talked briefly about it. We talked a couple of Hall of Fames. We talked Mercedes Moné. We talked about a couple of the WrestleMania matches they were at. Any quick thoughts on any of those things that you got?
Mercedes Moné should fire whoever does her hair. But other than that, she had a great debut. The crowd was hot. I mean, of course, it's her hometown, so they're going to be hot for her. But like, I'd say it was probably like the second biggest pop I heard in AEW as far as a debut goes. Like probably behind CM Punk in Chicago. I'd have to go back and check that. That's off the top of my head. I'm like, oh, that's pretty big. Hall of Fame. I'm assuming well deserved. I don't know much about Thunderbolt, but it's making me want to go back and look up some history, and then
Pez just went on a rant about you.
I did my rant that I did backstage about the U.S. Express going in as a tag team. About my rant about that. About if you're going to induct a tag team, it needs to be a significant tag team, and they weren't a significant tag team. But I would have no problem if you inducted them as singles wrestlers.
Right.
That was my rant. Like I just don't understand that decision. And then we talked about Muhammad Ali's deserved. I mean, he did other stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Antonio Inoki thing too, and the fact that he was basically cut wrestling promos constantly. It's very much so. So we thought about that. We talked about, and then we just talked about the Gunther official WrestleMania title match against Sami Zayn.
I guess that's the opinion I want to get from you is like, what do you think Chad Gable fits in that? Do you think
tag team? I think they'll be part of the tag team.
That's what we said. It probably would be him and Otis, right?
Alpha Academy will be in.
Alpha Academy.
We couldn't for the love of God remember their name. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, it's not Heavy Machinery anymore. What the hell is their name? Oh, the Otis team.
So, that's what I think. I think, Gable and Otis. Another thing on the tag team, real quick, that I want to. Since there's 6 teams involved, part of me is thinking this might be a way for them to split the tag titles up again. Like maybe 2 teams are going up, one grabs one, the other grabs one. Like, oh, what do we do now? And that's how
I could say that. I was more like sort of talking about like do you see Chad Gable being in the Intercontinental title picture? Like because they did a thing. They did a thing where it was like, I don't know whether he maybe he cost Sami Zayn. I don't know whether he is Sami Zayn's first challenger if he wins or
I could see that, but I don't know about him being inserted into
being a triple threat.
Yeah, it kind of makes the gauntlet match pointless. So it's like, oh, Gable, you lost, but you know what? You can get into.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a lot of tag teams, that's what we were just talking about. WrestleMania 14. Were you able to see it, Jacob? WrestleMania 14. I know.
I've actually, when I went back and looked at it, I've seen this WrestleMania before.
Okay.
Gotcha. I think the other thing I was about to say is like the one team that you didn't think because Nation and Domination were in there twice. It was D'Lo and Mark Henry as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I had that as well. Yeah, no, we were literally just starting with that tag team battle royal, and we were trying to remember all the tag teams that were in there, and I'd written most of them down. Oh, Kurgan was with somebody too.
Kurgan was with someone, and I think Los Barricos was in there twice as well.
Yeah, Los Barricos. So I mean, there was a whole bunch of people in there, gaggle of people in there. So this is how we kicked off the show because you just got here, Jacob, right as we were starting WrestleMania 14. We were just kind of on the backstory a little bit. So we started with a tag team battle royal. I wrote at the beginning, bunch of people out. Just people getting, a lot of just movement, and even the announcers were, I guess so and so is out there on the floor. Oh, so
okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, I headbangers out more. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I just started writing stuff down when I finally got to the final 4. The final 4 were the Godwins, the Harris Brothers, DOA, the New Midnight Express, and the LOD. So the Godwins and DOA kind of go back and forth being the biggest teams. The Godwins eventually, once they get eliminated, but they come back and lay out the DOA with their slot buckets and lay them out. And then at some point I wrote down Jerry Lawler just out of nowhere says, "Look at Sunny, she's hot," because he's Jerry Lawler. So I wrote that down. I mean, to his credit, he wasn't wrong.
He's right.
Yeah, for the time. Yeah, we talked about that. It's like not anymore, but at the time, yes. But the DOAs eventually fight back up. There's some power slams, or excuse me, LOD. hit some power slams and big boots to the new Midnight Express, who were the last two, and then just do some power clotheslines and eliminate the new Midnight Express, much to Jim Cornette's chagrin. Again, not much of note actually happening in the match. It's a whole lot of like just stuff and people getting like thrown out because it's just a battle royal. So it was mostly just a showcase for the LOD who were returning that night. But yeah, I mean, kind of a strange opener, crowd pop for LOD, and Sonny, that was about it. But Richie, any thoughts on this? Kind of a sloppy way to open the show, but it is what it is.
I feel like, I also feel like, because obviously it's just established that, okay, because they do it differently now, like where, I mean, in AEW, if a team member gets eliminated, like the other team member can still be in the ring. But I feel like maybe some of the team members didn't get that memo because but I feel like if it happened once and it's a heel, that's fine. But like there's more than one occasion where one team member got eliminated and the other person was still.
Yeah, you can see the referees climbing up on the apron, going like, "Hey, you got to get out now. Your other guy's out. Get out."
No one included them in. It was like, it was harder to watch. It's sort of harder to follow than like a World War III match where it's like you got three cameras. I found it weird given the storyline that it didn't come down to LOD and the Godwins. Why did it come down to LOD and the new Midnight Express?
Because Cornette was out there so he could jump around, while they're doing that. I guess. I don't know. That's about all. That's all I got.
And then this is one of their Irish whipping. I'm like, I was Hawk into the corner, into the ropes. I'm like, what double team move they're going to do? What? And it was just a double elbow. I'm like, okay.
They didn't even do the Doomsday device on Bart Gunn or anything. You know what I mean? Like nothing.
I was like,
I was like, okay. Jacob, any thoughts on this? Not much to say, but yeah, any thoughts on this? No.
I mean, it was a nice way to get a bunch of people on the WrestleMania card.
Sure,
but
this was like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal before the Andre the Giant Battle Royal,
right? And it feels weird. I don't know. It feels weird having a number one contenders match at WrestleMania.
It does.
This is your biggest show of the year. And it's like, all right, number
promote
one.
Unforgiven. They said in your house Unforgiven.
Yeah.
But it's a battle royal. It is
whatever. Yeah, it's fine. So we move on from that. We had some different video footage from WrestleMania week. We had there was a DX public workout, which had like 10,000 people at it. I was astonished at that. There was a lot of people just with a ring setup, and they just did some stuff. Mike Tyson was there. DX was there. They kind of tied up Austin and antagonized him a little bit. Just did a few things. Stone Cold was on Regis and Kelly. They showed a brief clip of that. We talked about that, Richie, actually, or me and Richie talked about that, Jacob, about I could see Regis Philbin going into the Celebrity Hall of wing at some point because I would be all for that because he did a lot with the wrestlers and with WWF and just cross promotion. You know what I mean? Like he was a huge wrestling fan, so I could see him going in, and I'd be totally for it. So, and then there was some kind of VIP dinner with the wrestlers at it. Just all kinds of different stuff. You know how they used to show fan access like week stuff, at WrestleMania, that sort of thing before it was fan access. But basically that. So yeah. We get into our second match of the evening for the light heavyweight championship. We got the champion Taka Michinoku taking on Aguila of the Essa Rios, but under a mask here as Aguila, so we get these guys going, and boy, is this a 5-minute sprint! Holy shit! I was writing down more for this 5-minute thing than I wrote down for Triple H and Owen Hart. I was like, damn, good lord, because we start out. Pretty much just going back and forth very, very quickly. There's a quick baseball slide from Aguila to the outside on Taka. He immediately goes to the top turnbuckle and hits a huge Asahi moonsault to the outside. I mean, he got some hang time on this damn thing. Giant one that kind of got the crowd going pretty early. Although they weren't really like into the match, but they were into the spots, if that makes sense. Like they popped for the dives, but there wasn't much to get behind here, like wrestling wise. But anyways, Taka back inside. They go back inside for a second, then Taka drop kicks Aguila to the outside, then he goes to the top rope and hits a big crossbody to get his shit in and jumps to the outside. He brings him back in, works him on the corner a little bit, hits one of those kind of front drop kicks to the face while Aguila's on the ground, and goes for a cover, only gets a 2. Aguila backdrops Taka to the outside. A lot of this was just setting up ways to get back to the outside so they could do dives to the outside. That's what the first half of this match was. Is you knock me to the outside, I'll do a dive. You knock me to the outside, I'll do a dive. Because then they come back in. Aguila hits an arm drag off the top rope. There's more kind of arm drag variations, sort of lucha arm drags. Aguila then hits a corkscrew plancha over the ropes onto Taka. They're back in. Taka on the inside misses a corkscrew splash. But hits a there's a standing moonsault from Aguila from the top rope, but it only gets a 2 count on Taka. Taka jumps back to the top and tries to go for a splash, but catches the knees of Aguila. There's a springboard head scissors that takes Taka over, but eventually Taka fights back with a missile drop kick from the top, and he actually countered an Aguila Rana into a power bomb, which actually looked pretty good for a 2 count. Taka misses a moonsault as well, but Aguila can't get a 3 with a follow-up roll-up. Taka then catches a drop kick from Aguila on the way down. He kind of drop kicks him in the gut on the way down, picks him up and hits a Michinoku driver, and does get the 3 count to retain his title. If you ever want to see a match that was nothing but spots and zero psychology, these guys were going 100 miles an hour for about 5 minutes, and it's something. So, I mean, for 15-year-old me watching this match is pretty fun. Now it's like, oh my God, would you guys slow down for a second and have some goddamn psychology? Because it's just how much shit can we get in 5 minutes? Excuse me, but Jacob, what'd you think of this?
Yeah, I'm kind of there. Like, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's give him a little bit more time. It is WrestleMania. Let's give him some time. A 6-minute match or whatever it was. Like you said, 100 miles an hour. It's like moves are nice, spots are nice, but tell a story too. Like, so, right. It's good for what it was, but I feel like they could have done more, given more time. Right. It's like we want to do all these things, but this is all the time we have. So let's just try to do as much as we can. And get it done.
Well, that's the difference in WCW. At least give the undercard guys, like you get like Ray and Chris Jericho or Ray and Eddie, whatever. But they would give them like 10 or 12 minutes, at least to tell a little bit of a story and still get the cool spots in, and at least like let them spread it out a little bit. I feel like they were seeing that around the time WCW and were trying to imitate that, but didn't understand that you need a match to go around it, it's some kind of story. Right. But yeah, it can't just be spot. But yeah, Richie, any thoughts on this light heavyweight match here?
Yeah, there's definitely, definitely like they're wrestling like they had a plane to catch or something. But yeah, it was, I mean, it was good for what it was, but yeah, there was no psychology to it. But I mean, I think Taka's really good. I mean, if he got royalties now for every time someone uses the Michinoku driver, man, he'd be sitting pretty. I could actually make an argument for him being a Hall of Fame.
Sure.
Candidate because obviously he's quite obviously quite big in New Japan and he's very good. This match is really good. S.A. Rios at this time, Aguilar was only 19. I think they reiterated that on commentary. I'm surprised they didn't actually pick up Aguilar. It's one of those few people that probably didn't. I feel like maybe Aguilar was one of those people that were in the wrong sort of era. Like if he was around now, like he'd probably stand out more. But he didn't really have much of a run in WWE.
Well, or even like you said, if he was in WCW at least part of that cruiserweight division, I feel like he could have stood out a little more, and work with some of those guys. Maybe that would have worked out a little bit better. So he was briefly in ECW. I feel like if he was sticking around in ECW, would have even made more of an impact. So yeah, he could have stood out there because they didn't have that many sort of lucha guys. They had Super Crazy and Kid Cash and
Hoovy for a bit there.
Hoovy for a minute, but I mean, even that was like 96. I mean, I'm talking like 99, 2000. They didn't have that many. So they could have stood up. He could have stood up. But anyways, we had one of the stranger segments of the night as Jennifer Flowers sits down with The Rock backstage.
And I thought, who the fuck is Jennifer Flowers? I looked her up and it said, literally, this is, if you go to Wikipedia, this is hilarious. Yes. I laughed so hard. It says, known for affair with Bill Clinton.
Yes, and you'd be right. That's exactly what she was, because I knew who Jennifer Flowers was because I was kind of into politics around my middle school, high school days. So I knew who Jennifer Flowers was. Yes, she's basically one of those women, much like Monica Lewinsky, who was famous for having sex with Bill Clinton. And around the time, and mostly during the time when he was governor, before he was president, but still proving that Bill Clinton cheated on Hillary Clinton pretty regularly. So, and it was a piece of shit. So, yeah, but that's what she's famous for. So she is here on this show. That's why she's here. Because Vince McMahon probably just is a weirdo. I was just like, yo, let's get that lady on the show. But anyways, is having this strange interview with The Rock talking about if you were president or the leader of a country. Rock corrects her and says, if I was the ruler of a country, more. So he's clearly stating he's going to be a dictator, not a president. So that was strange right off the bat. Says he would get rid of all the homeless pieces of trash on the street and clean up the streets. That's his words. I was like, all right, I guess. Talks about something how he would clean up the judicial system and something about hung juries, and then makes
You're talking about his penis.
yeah. So kind of half flirting with Jennifer Flowers. But again, I told Richie Jacob, which I was like, another strange parallel, because haven't we seen stuff lately about like, hey, Rock, you want to run for president? And here it is in 1998, WrestleMania 14, saying, hey, Rock, you want to run for president? Very strange. There's always weird parallels when we watch these shows to like nowadays. This is a very strange one. Yeah, so Richie, yeah, I know you had something to say about this for sure, because
this just felt really strange. I mean, look, this felt like something you'd do. Like, I don't know, like, why include it on the show? Like,
this felt like something you do on Raw. If you did this on Raw, okay.
You did this on Raw, or even like,
yeah,
even if you had Heat back in the day, like just like earlier,
right,
earlier on, like early days in the Heat. I mean, I don't know why you'd put it on the pay per view, because it didn't add anything. It's just like, okay, oh, you want to showcase Rock's charisma? I mean, yeah, we all know Rock's charisma, but yeah, oh, you want to see Rock flirting with Jennifer Flower? I guess just you wanted Rock to do the sex jokes because it's Jennifer Flowers, and I don't know. I don't know. I wish it was the only time we saw Jennifer Flowers on the show. I didn't want to do. We'll get to that. I don't want to see.
And she's like 48, by the way, in the segment, because she was.
I know.
Sex.
She looked.
She was having sex with Bill Clinton like 10 years before, 12 years before. Like I said, when he was governor. You know what I mean? This is like late 80s, early 90s. Before he was president. Yeah.
She's 72 now, apparently, or something.
Yeah,
like
she's still around. Yeah, she's around. But like Monica, she's kind of just known for that, and that was pretty much it. But Jacob, any thoughts? Did you even know who Jennifer Flowers was, or I know?
I'll be honest, I fast forwarded through this part.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't really watch it.
Yeah, I only watched it because of how surreal and strange it was. Otherwise, I would have fast forwarded. But it was just weird. Yeah, because I was like, what did they do? I remember Jennifer Flowers being part of WrestleMania. I didn't know what she did, and yeah, this was odd. So, weird segment with The Rock, who again is kind of coming to his own. He's full on kind of heel Rock here. He would be corporate Rock pretty soon. He would break away from the nation and become corporate Rock very, very shortly, because they did a little angle with that later. We'll talk about it. But we go on to our third match. It's for the European Championship, as we have our champion Triple H. Again, this is sort of early days of DX, as they're kind of really heating up and getting going here. But yeah, Triple H versus Owen Hart, who is fresh off of Bret Hart leaving the company and basically getting stranded, but he's at least a babyface here. And the gimmick of this one is that China, who has been interfering a lot, obviously, in Triple H's matches, is out here with Commissioner Slaughter, and they are handcuffed to each other so she can't interfere. Now, why you wouldn't just ban her from ringside, I have no earthly idea, which makes no sense, because she's still out there, because they're with a handcuff that has a chain about this long on it, one of those gimmicky handcuffs that has a 2-foot chain in the middle of it. So it seems like there's a lot of wiggle room there, but all right. But yeah, we'll talk about Slaughter. I got things to say at the end of this match for him, but you feel like you want to say something, Richie? Yeah.
I think Slaughter just wanted to be chained to China. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, maybe.
Should look better, like, he's going, but yeah, like, as you say, not to go that wrong. Yeah, I had to notice she had cake anyway. But yeah,
I'd be lying if I say I didn't have a thing for China around this time, like her little run. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Pass or smash. Probably smash. I can't lie. Probably would.
I mean, you can get to like the details of the match. I feel like it's probably the same. I felt about this match the way I felt to do a modern reference. I felt about this match the way I did about like a couple, the other day about Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo. I feel like like Owen Hart is all right as babyface. I think he's a better heel, and the crowd really want to cheer. It felt like the
They
crowd
want to cheer Triple H because they're into the DX thing.
Triple H, and he's a heel, and so I think the dynamics are off. It's weird seeing Triple H because DX just starting, so Triple H is still coming out and is like,
his like European robe thing,
robe thing.
Yeah, he's coming out with still like the Levesque robe on.
Levesque robe, yeah. So that's weird. And then like they had the DX band there, but like Chris Warren didn't sing. It was weird.
No, he did later, but they saved it for Shawn Michaels, and they were just doing an instrumental version live. So he wasn't singing on this. We'll talk about Chris Warren because there was something they edited off the show.
We'll talk about it later. I know.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah. But anyways, But
and I guess we'll get into it. But the whole concept is like China's not can't interfere because of the handcuff and what happens? She
interferes.
Who really believes that?
Yeah, no. I look. We'll talk. I got things to say about Sergeant Slaughter at the end of this. Okay, we'll get to it. But again, why don't you just ban her from ringside? I don't know, but okay. Anyways, but here's the gimmick because it's Vince Russo. This is total Russo shit, by the way. Russo's all over the show because there's a million things happening in every match. Anyways, we start out hot. Owen gets a quick double leg takedown on Triple H and a back body drop. He lariats Triple H, gets him in the corner for the 10 punches, hits a big standing Hurricanrana for a 2 count. Triple H eventually fights back with a back elbow. China goes to interfere, but is pulled back by Slaughter. Kind of they tease it a couple times sort of throughout the match. Triple H gets thrown into the barricade on the outside. Owen puts him back in. He goes for the sharpshooter, but he instead gets a thumb in the eye, and Triple H escapes. Triple H kind of works over Owen Hart in the corner, hits his big high knee, but only gets a 2 count. Hits a vertical suplex and a knee drop. Owen Hart tries to fight back. He catches, but he tries to fight back, and Triple H catches him with a DDT to cut him off for a 2 count. Starts going after the leg of Owen, puts him in a couple of submissions, drapes his leg over the apron, kind of continues the attack there. Owen trips Triple H in the corner, and eventually pulls Triple H's balls into the post, the old pulling the legs, into the post kind of gimmick. And then back inside, he jumps to the top, hits a Mitchell dropkick, but only gets a 2 count. He hits a belly-to-belly suplex, but only gets a 2 count. A spinning heel kick only gets a 2 count. He's firing up on Triple H here, but unable to put him away. Hits a big enziguri that he would always hit for a big 2 count as well. Owen Hart goes for another standing Rama, but Triple H counters into a big power bomb and only gets a 2 count out of that. Both men back to their feet. Hart gets up to the top, hits a big cross body, but only gets a 2. Triple H goes for the pedigree. Triple H goes for the pedigree, but Hart's counters him into the post. Or some kind of scrum happens where Owen gets thrown into the post after the counter and falls and kind of into Triple H's nuts. A lot of nut shots on the show. It seems to be a Vince Russo thing, but it is what it is. He was big on the low blows. There's a big series of kind of counters back and forth. Eventually, Owen is able to put the sharpshooter on Triple H. He's in trouble, but he gets close to the ropes, and China is able to pull Hunter's arm into the ropes to break the count. Funny how Sergeant Slaughter couldn't stop that from happening. She still interfered anyways. Owen gets frustrated because of that, and on the outside, China grabs some powder in her hands, throws powder into Sergeant Slaughter's eyes, and with that is able to kind of scoot him towards the ring, jumps up in the apron, low blows Owen Hart behind the back of the referee, and Owen stumbles into Triple H. Triple H is able to hit the pedigree and get the 3 count to retain the title. And after the match, China just completely manhandles Sergeant Slaughter, lays him out with a big forearm, and he is rendered completely useless. I wrote Sergeant Slaughter, Geek of the Week of WrestleMania 14. Holy shit, was he a fucking geek on this show who was completely useless. Jesus Christ. Completely useless. China completely interferes, lays the guy next to him out, just the whole thing. Again, not a bad match, like work-wise. I mean, these guys hit all their stuff very crisp. Nice counters back and forth. It was a good work rate match. But like Richie said, maybe the dynamics were just kind of backwards because the crowd really wanted to cheer Triple H, and whatnot. So it was just a little weird. But Jacob, what do you think about this one here?
Yeah, I can understand the the dynamics of the match being off, but as far as like the in-ring work, I thought it was really solid. And was nice that they were given time to tell a story and get their moves in. And yeah, I mean nowadays, I guess I don't want to say wrestling fans are smarter nowadays. Maybe back then it was just like we believe kayfabe and all that stuff. So, oh, really? China's not going to interfere. But nowadays, if you see that, it's like she's still going to interfere. So, yeah, it was kind of obvious that it was going to happen. I agree about Sergeant Slaughter. It's like just banner from ringside.
Just why is she even out there if you know she's going to interfere? I don't understand that.
Her to a table or something, or locker room door, do something,
or at least handcuff her to like the barricade or something,
right?
The ring post, whatever, something like that can't be moved.
Exactly.
It's silly.
Yeah,
I've always been a fan of Owen Hart, and I've always liked him more than Brett. I think they're
Owen, another guy who should be a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame, but he's not in yet. Yeah,
right. I always thought he should. I thought he should have been world champ, and who knows, like. If the unfortunate incident didn't happen, maybe he could have been.
Yeah.
But I thought he should have been at this point. So,
yeah.
But.
I think they should have like kind of done the world title run after maybe like right after the I think they missed a thing with right after the Bret Hart feud. I think he was hot then. They could have done.
I think he was the hottest, in like '94 around the WrestleMania 10 thing. Like, that was when he was at his kind of peak, and they didn't pull the trigger on it. Yeah,
people forget, and it's like, I would Owen Hart to be champion too, but like it was also around that time where I think they called off on Owen Hart. Unfortunately, above 40 passed because he was a blue blazer, and he was just sort of. Just a bit, he was a bit of a on Triple H and Slaughter. Obviously, that they had like a few. They probably extended till like for much of this year because I'm pretty sure they have a match at the last In Your House, which is called DX, which they have a boot camp match. So I don't know if this starts a big feud that lasts till December, but yes. But yeah, Sergeant Slaughter's an idiot in this match. Like just borrow from ringside. I would be pissed off if I was Owen Hart. I'm like, hey, you
did this thing, but it completely failed, and she still interfered, and I lost because of you. I'd be mad.
Yeah,
I'd go out there and stomp on Slaughter's head too. You know what I mean? Like, just you moron. Yeah. So
you might even say, enough is enough. It's time for a change.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. So we get into match number 4 here. We have a mixed tag team match of Mark Mero and Sable taking on Luna Vachon and Goldust. They played a video of this feud, but for the life of me, I could not tell you what the hell is going on in this feud at all. There's 85 things that happened in this video, and I have no idea what the hell is going on.
I wrote down one thing because I saw I've never seen. I don't think I have seen before. Now and since there was no way. I don't think anybody could overcome the burial that Mark Mero got. They were clearly into Sable more than in that. It was just like even like so in the video package, Michael Cole goes, Mark Mero's rise to mediocrity it's
like stunted or something or whatever.
It's overshadowed by and Sable's rise to superstardom. And I feel so bad because Mark Mero, he works his ass off, he wrestles. Sable is just hot, and he's got superstardom. He's just there.
Yeah.
And
and originally Mero behind the scenes, I think, was supposed to win the King of the Ring, right? And feud with like Steve Austin. And Steve Austin saw what they were doing with Mero and Sable to where on Raw, it got to the point when they broke up, Sable bombed Mero. And he was like, I can't feud with this guy who got beat up by his chick. And logically so. That would be stupid. So like I think they ex-nayed that, and Triple H ended up winning the King of the Ring that year. But it's like I'm kind of with him. I'm like, you make him look like a goof. I just don't understand the story of this match because Mark Mero was like ashamed of Sable, but now they're like buddy. Somehow Goldust is involved, like protecting Sable, and like Luna's jealous or something. I don't know what the hell's going on in this feud. I have no idea.
And Goldust is red dust. He's red.
Yeah, he looks like
He's
Wolfpack Sting.
he's-
Like he came out and he had Wolfpack Sting makeup. I swear to God, it was like black and red. It's like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, I could not tell you what the story of this match is. It's some Vince Russo soap opera bullshit that I have no idea. It looked like a million things happened every Raw with this feud in like the span of 30 seconds. So I have no idea. But we have this
Sable
match
was over,
regardless.
though.
Sable was way, way over anytime she did anything in this match. So yeah, I'll say that. Crowd was way more into this match than I thought they would be, given the setup. But yeah, they were super into this. So yeah, we start out with and they even break their own rules. They say that like it's one of those intergender tag matches where if somebody tags out to like the woman, like the two women have to go at it. That wasn't true because Sable tried to pin Goldust in this match. So that wasn't true at all.
And the referee counted. I was like,
and the referee counted. I was like, so that's not true.
I was like, hang on.
So that was a lie.
Yeah, they threw that out the window immediately. Anyways, yeah, Mark Marrow is in there with Goldust. He hits a Hurricane Rana and a clothesline. Goldust tags Luna and wants Sable, but they have a little chase around the ring. But she immediately jumps back in and tags Goldust back out, of course, to some boos. There's a back body drop from Marrow. Sable gets a tag and she gets a tag and comes in and kicks. Has a pretty good high kick on Goldust. I'll admit, she actually, a lot of the moves she had in this thing, maybe she practiced all week, looked good. I'll give her that. A lot of her kicks look great. Some of the moves she had looked great. So I'll give her credit where credit's due. I always will. She wasn't a great wrestler, but maybe she practiced this all week. I don't know. They could have practiced this match all week. Who knows?
I will say she's one of those people, I guess, because she has she did have like a lawsuit against Vince at one point and all that stuff. But I am surprised she's not in the Hall of Fame yet.
Maybe now that Vince is gone again. With Vince gone, anything's possible now. So, it opens up a lot of doors. Let's tag back into Marrow. Marrow hits a clothesline on Dust out of the corner, hot shots him on the ropes. There's a midair cross body from Marrow, but then Goldust fights back with that kind of drop down uppercut that he does. That always looks pretty cool. There's a head knocking collision. They're both kind of down. Eventually the girls tag in. Sable hits a big double leg takedown and they start catfighting, of course, much to the delight of the crowd here in Boston.
And who literally says catfight.
Yeah, who says catfight. Sable backs Luna up into the corner and starts hitting some really nice looking kind of kicks to the ribs and whatnot, and beels Luna across the ring. She then nails Goldust and clotheslines Luna over the top rope. Again, I just wrote crowd going nuts for Sable, everything she does, which they were. So there's a forearm to Goldust and a tag to Marrow. Goldust goes into the steps on the outside. Back inside, Mark Marrow and Goldust are squaring off. It goes for the TKO, but Dust counters into a DDT for 2. He tries the curtain call, but Marrow counters it with a running knee lift and a springboard moonsault. Pretty good looking springboard moon. He did one of those like twisting ones where he like started forward, like backwards, and then turned forwards again or something into like a moonsault. It looks pretty good, whatever it was. But the camera missed most of it, but it still looked pretty good when I saw of it. Anyways, Goldust goes up top and gets knocked off. Mark Marrow hits a top rope Hurricane Rana. Again, everything Marrow did was good. Like, he was a good wrestler. He just, got humiliated on a regular basis. But Goldust knocks Luna off the apron accidentally. Marrow whirls him up and only gets a 2. He's able to hit the TKO, but Luna breaks up the pin very poorly with like a back rake and then kind of jumps on his back. Very weak looking. She almost missed it. Sable is able to get a blind tag and comes in, and but she splashes Goldust while he's still down. Then turns attention to Luna, hits a huge Sable bomb to a giant pop. I thought this should have been the finish, honestly, because I thought they lost a little momentum after this. Because she hits a Sable bomb, crowd goes bonkers, and she should have pinned him right there, but they kept going. Because Luna then works over Sable in the ropes a little bit, but then Sable just is able to eventually counter into her own TKO on Luna and gets the 3 count. Again, crowd pops for it, but I felt like they had a little more momentum with the Sable bomb. Had they ended it there, I think it would have been a better pop finish. But the crowd was way more into this than I thought they would be. Pretty much everything Sable did, looked great, and crowd was super into it. I thought Mark Marrow looked good. Again, he's a good wrestler. He just got outshined by Sable. But again, weird match as far as the dynamics of it, but not boring, pretty entertaining. So, Richie, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was an entertaining match. Maybe due to the crowd as well. Because the dynamics are weird. The only real baby face in this match is Sable. I always thought it was weird.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Hey, Jacob, is Goldust a heel or a face in this match?
Yes.
Is Mark Marrow a heel or a face in this match?
Also, yes.
Is Luna a heel or a face in this match?
Also, yes.
Okay, it won't be the only time I ask that on this show. Anyways, Richie.
Yeah, so yeah, that was weird. But like, and also I always found it weird. Like basically, they put over that like Mark Marrow is like a Golden Gloves champion and give him a boxing gimmick, but he's like, I think one of the selling points of Mark Marrow should be like his athleticism.
Yeah, he's a big guy who does like shooting star presses and moonsaults.
Yeah, he can do shooting star presses, and you want to focus on the fact that he punches up.
Right.
And just like I feel like nudism, and like you know, if you put over the fact that he's a big guy that shouldn't be able to do these cool moves, then that might get him over. But I don't think I don't think the idea was ever to get him over. At least once I saw Sable. Yeah, I mean they made a big star of Sable, but yeah, I felt bad for Mark Marrow. I think he deserves better for. I feel like maybe he should have just stayed in WCW
and he should have just been the booty man,
or the Johnny B. Bad, or whatever.
Jacob, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I usually don't let the crowd dictate how I feel about a match, but the fact that the crowd was into this was kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of entertaining. I can dig it. You know, like you guys said, the crowd was hot for Sable. Maybe in more ways than one. Yeah, she looked good. Mark Romero looked good, obviously, like you guys said. And yeah, I mean, I didn't realize, looking back on it, like, I think this WrestleMania has like 2 big moments and then a bunch of like, oh, that was all right. That was good. That was entertaining at least.
We'll talk about that when we do our like show recap and like score out of 10. Yeah, because I feel like that's going to factor a lot into it as well. Yeah, when we get there. Again, not bad. We're starting to build some momentum here, I think, from those first 2 matches. And we start going. First, before the next match, Tennessee Lee comes to the ring, who was Colonel Rob Parker, and he introduces Jennifer Flowers again, who comes out again, who I did not expect to see once again, and Double J Jeff Jarrett, because God damn it, if we can't watch a show without Jeff Jarrett on it.
Wild Slapnuts appeared.
He wasn't even on the fucking card, and he's still here. And yes, a Wild Slapnuts appears because Jeff Jarrett just had to be on the damn show. And basically, they just do a back and forth saying, Jennifer Flowers says, I've been with it. Basically implies that she had sex with Jeff Jarrett. Says she's been with a lot of men, and out of all of them, you were great, Jeff Jarrett. And he puts the peace sign up. That's it. That's all that they do. So Jeff Jarrett had sex with Jennifer Flowers, apparently. So, okay. That's the thing. Sure. Anyways, they introduce do the introduction for the next match. It's for the Intercontinental Championship. We have the champion, The Rock, taking on Ken Shamrock. And the stipulation for this one is that if The Rock gets himself disqualified, he will lose the title because he's been getting himself disqualified lately. We get a little bit of a recap of the feud. And oh my God, did they remind me this is the feud where Shamrock took that horrific chair shot to the face, that baseball swing chair shot to the face. Yeah. Oh my God. Is that still one of the worst chair shots I've ever seen? Like, oh my, not worst as in like it looked bad, but like it looked bad. Like, holy shit.
The Rock, be dead. The Rock could swing a chair. Because it's not that there's like when I think of like worst chair shots, I think the two ones to think is from him. It's that one, and then the one he did to Mankind.
All the ones he did to Mankind? You mean the 13 chair shots or whatever he did to Mankind? Yeah. Oh, my God. I mean, so much so, that chair shot's so famous, even Chris Van Vliet in his interview with Ken Shamrock recently asked about it. You know what I mean? Like, people still talking about that chair shot. And apparently Ken Shamrock, that's the way he wanted it. He said, Rock, if you don't baseball swing this chair shot into my head, I'm going to kill you, essentially. So he wanted it that way. Okay, you fucking lunatic. But anyways, Rock comes out. with the Nation. Then Ken Shamrock comes out, and I wrote in parentheses, Ken Shamrock is fucking enormous. Jesus Christ, was he gassed out of his brains? He was a hulking mass of muscle in this.
They weren't testing for steroids in the 90s.
No, they weren't, because Shamrock is enormous. Oh my god, he came out and he was gassed to the gills, and he looked like a lunatic in this match. Like he was steroid rage. Jesus Christ. And that was basically the story of this match, essentially. Because he immediately goes after the Rock, hits a big high kick. He clotheslines Rock to the outside. They're brawling around up and down to the production area. They're brawling up and on the ramp. They come back in. He hits a couple of running clotheslines to the Rock and another side kick. Shamrock then takes him down, who starts doing some ground and pound. Shamrock just absolutely mauling the Rock at this point. Outside, Rock's able to come back a little bit as he throws Shamrock into the steel steps, and back inside hits a people's elbow, but only gets a 2 count. Before it was really the people's elbow.
Transition move at this point.
Yeah, very early people's elbow, but it was the people's elbow. Shamrock is back up. He sends Rock flying over the top. He threw him over the top rope like 3 times in this match, and oh my god, did he get some air every time? Or at least Rock sold it like that. He went flying every single time. But yeah, he throws him over the top rope. Goes to get a chair because he's just being a total lunatic right now. The ref tries to take a chair away, but he gets shoved down for his actions. And then Rock, in the meantime, grabs the chair and once again just waffles Ken Shamrock right in the head, baseball style, right in the side of his head. Oh my God. There were, again, it wouldn't be the only unprotected chair shot to the head on the show, but that was one of the worst. He just right into the side of the head, just kills him with his chair. But Shamrock kicks out because he's a lunatic. And then Shamrock comes back with a leaping sidekick and a power slam, but only gets a 2 count. But he's able to slap on the ankle lock. Rock tries to escape, but he slaps it on even harder, and Rock taps out. So technically here, Ken Shamrock has defeated the Rock, but he refuses to break the hold. The Nation comes in, the rest of the Nation, I should say, D'Lo and Mark Henry and Kama. But he turns around, he suplexes every single one of them, belly to belly suplexes all of them, including Mark Henry, goes right back to the ankle, puts the ankle lock back on. Farouk runs out, and this is part of the angle, runs up, jumps on the apron, but does not help the Rock. He walks away and lets him stay in the ankle lock. So this is kind of the breakup of the Nation here. Again, refs come out to try to break the hold. He suplexes what are clearly indie wrestlers from Boston in referee outfits. But all the belly-to-bellies look great. I mean, he slammed the shit out of these guys, so he did these belly-to-bellies. Mauls one, mauls another one, mauls another one. Pretty much everybody in sight, and then puts the ankle lock back on. And in the meantime, one of the referees, whoever was in charge of it, announces that they are reversing their decision because, as Vinny V would say, Richie, Ken Shamrock was disqualified for kicking too much ass. You kick too much ass, so you get disqualified. Which is exactly what happened. He kicked too much ass, he got disqualified. So they reversed the decision. Rock retains the title, which only fuels Shamrock even to more of a roid rage here as he runs down the rampway as Rock, in the meantime, was put on a stretcher, throws him off the stretcher, slams him onto the DX stage, just a complete and utter lunatic, lays out, I think, 1 or 2 more people on the way back, and it finally ends mercifully. The match itself was only about 4 minutes, but with the angle afterwards, was a little longer. But again, if not entertaining, this is entertaining as shit. You know what I mean? But just completely lunatic Shamrock here. Richie, what'd you think of this whole thing?
Yeah, Shamrock was a nutcase in this match. It's effective. It's his gimmick. It's surprising. Apparently he did wrestle a bit before he went to UFC, but it's like he's a really good wrestler. I'm surprised at how good of a wrestler he actually ended up being. I would, if he stuck around, I could have seen them put the title on him, like the actual main title. And I think he would have. I think it would, right storyline, it could have worked. I think him and The Rock actually worked well together. Obviously, the point where The Rock was bleeding heavily from the lip and the mouth. I don't know whether that was he was actually whether that was like hard way or not, but it wouldn't surprise me with Ken Shamrock because I feel like he's just
it could have been just an errant elbow or something, or one of the kicks, maybe the high kicks, maybe caught him a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised. And imagine if Shamrock had stuck around, he could have wrestled somebody like a Kurt Angle or Chris Benoit, and that would have been something special, right?
He was going going nuts, but I find it really entertaining. I don't know if you caught this because he said it kind of softly, but when Farouk came out, JR called him like Farouk Assad, which I didn't think he was going by that name at that point. I thought he was just Farouk.
Yeah, I thought he was just okay. I don't know.
He's like, oh, it's Farouk Assad. I'm like, huh? Okay,
it's just Farouk.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, it was fun. Well, it's weird that they would put it on WrestleMania. I think of WrestleMania. I think of like, okay, this is going to be like a blow off to a major feud, next kind of thing. Like, so it's like,
this is like one of those continuation matches. Like,
feud must continue. It's like, okay, it was like, and on pay per view, it's fine. But but it was fun.
Yeah. Jacob, what do you think about this?
I personally wasn't a fan. Like, yeah, this is a Raw angle. This isn't a WrestleMania match. It's like this is like your second biggest title, and you give them 5 minutes and a disqualification finish, which I think the DQ finish is total BS too, because he relinquished the hold twice. So he let go.
Well, again, he was disqualified for kicking too much ass.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I would have just preferred a straight finish to the match. Put the title on Shamrock. Like, yeah, he's throwing guys left and right, and I think he could have went on a good lengthy run with the title, or play hot potato with The Rock. Who cares? In the late '90s, hot potato was the cool thing to do with titles.
Oh, trust me, they changed hands a lot in the Vince Russo era. It was like every other week. To where like if you tune in any given week, if you missed a week of Raw, you missed 90 things that happened. So with Vince Russo, it's the same with WCW Vince Russo. Yeah, if you missed one Nitro, hell, if you missed Thunder as well, you missed everything. So it'll be completely different feuds the next week.
I mean, we'll talk about hot potato in the next match, really. If we were gonna,
Oh yeah, because we can talk about the aftermath of the next match, what happened, after the next night on Raw as well. But we'll talk about that. Because we're talking about the tag titles now, as we have a dumpster match for the tag team titles. What's a dumpster match? You say it's a casket match with a dumpster.
With the dumpster.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Same rules, essentially. Throw them in the dumpster, close the lid. That's essentially the same thing. But this all came about because of the famous gimmick on Raw. I'm sure most people have seen where they threw Cactus and Terry Funk in a dumpster, and the New Age also pushed it off the stage. It's kind of a pretty famous moment, for Raw Attitude Era. So that's what comes out of this. And it's the rules are essentially the same as a casket match. Throw the team in the dumpster, close the lid, you win. Other than that, not really any rules. And I'm not going to call him Chainsaw Charlie because everybody else in this match called him Terry Funk, so I'm going to call him
JR refused to call him Chainsaw Charlie.
JR called him Terry Funk. On the microphone with the New Age Outlaws promo when they came out, they called him Funk. Everybody called him Funk, so that's what I'm going to call him, even though the screen said Chainsaw Charlie. So I'm not going to call him Chainsaw Charlie either. So essentially, this one starts off as you expect. They just start brawling kind of immediately. Dog gets whipped into the side of the dumpster, and Cactus Jack hits his running knee into Dog's head while he's leaned up against the dumpster there. Excuse me, Jack tries to throw Dog into the dumpster, but he grabs a baking sheet out of there and hits Jack right in the head with it, which I don't know why those were in the dumpster, but I guess maybe they were rusted or something. Somebody threw them away. I don't know. They were not useful anymore. So somebody said, hey, maybe these guys can use them. But anyways, Cactus Jack, Road Dogg's like standing next to the dumpster, and he goes to do like a somersault plancha and just launches himself right into the side of this dumpster and then splats on the ground. That looked disgusting. I was like, he landed on his side. It looked gross. Again, Mick Foley just doing ridiculous things to his body. But Funk comes back, starts throwing each guys into the guardrails. Funk then gets backdropped into the dumpster. And again, we didn't really see what was in there. There was some assorted garbage and paraphernalia, but I don't know how much padding was in there. But yeah, there was some stuff in it. But he gets dumped in there. Jack then gets whipped into the dumpster, and he gets Russian leg sweeped into the back of the dumpster by the Road Dogg. They flip the lids and kind of crack them in the heads with it and start kind of slamming the lids on top of their heads over and over again while they're leaning into the dumpster. But Jack eventually stops. They both get tossed into the dumpster, but Jack stops them from actually closing it and puts a double mandible claw on both of the Outlaws. Funk then grabs a cookie sheet out of that dumpster. Again, another one in there for some reason. But he starts whacking both the guys with them back and forth. Inside, each guy's hit neck breakers to the Road Dogg. Jack drops a cookie sheet elbow to Billy Gunn on the outside. He kind of held the cookie sheet like he would drop the elbow off the apron to the outside. Did that. Inside the ring, Funk hits a DDT onto Road Dogg on a cookie sheet. Jack then pulls out a ladder, and this is one of those like red industrial ladders, not one of those like kind of gimmicky black ones they would use like a year later, in the tag team matches.
Disappointed because it was like, hey, ladder, and then it was like really small. So.
It wasn't like a super ladder, but it was a regular size ladder. But there's a low blow to Billy Gunn. Jack goes to climb the ladder again for some reason. I don't know why, because it's not a ladder match.
Where are you gonna go?
I don't know, but they him and Billy Gunn start climbing the ladder. Funk gets hit and gets pushed into the ladder, which pushes both those guys, Gunn and Jack, over the ropes, off the ladder into the dumpster, which looked really dangerous because if you don't hit that dead on, that could be a disaster, either for your legs or for your neck. So that could have been a disaster, but luckily they landed. Oh, and the lids were also close. So they went through the lids into the dumpster and like broke the lids. So the dumpster is pretty messed up here. But they then grabbed Terry Funk and off the apron powerbomb him into the dumpster. That looked ridiculous as well and very dangerous because it looks like he hit his leg on the way down. But eventually the Outlaws while Funk's in the dumpster, they take Cactus Jack and for some reason start walking to the back and taking him with them. I don't know why, because the dumpster's there, not there, but okay.
For storyline
reasons that we'll get to. But they're kind of tossing Cactus Jack around, through various objects around the back. There's some chair shots to the Outlaws that Cactus Jack fights back with, and then he hits a DDT onto a pallet that's on a forklift. Funk then gets onto the forklift and lifts up the Outlaws who are on the pallet on the forklift. They roll forward. There's another dumpster backstage, and having worked with a forklift, and I do work with one at Publix, it does not have a dumping mechanism. Like there's no like forward thing, so you can only go forward, backwards, up and down. With these things. So they get near the dumpster, and it's like he's trying to do something to like wiggle them off, but they basically just kind of roll themselves off because they kind of have to, because there's no dumping mechanism on this thing. But they eventually get dumped off into this other dumpster. Cactus Jack closed the lids, and we have new tag team champions. By the way, I also wrote when they went off the ladder into the dumpster, JR, another weird parallel 24 years later, or 26 years later. You talked about the Darby Allin thing. He went into his, they know how to fall. And he did the same thing for this during this match. Some kid I sit at home. They know how to fall. He did his whole.
They did the chip in the shoulder because remember that there was an Attitude Era ad where they were like, we're real athletes.
Yeah.
But
anyways, to get to what Richie was referring to, the next night on Raw, it would be ruled that they used the wrong dumpster, so that they had to immediately vacate the titles, and they had a rematch on Raw. So, I think so. Whatever it was, it was another gimmick, but but they basically ruled that because they used the wrong dumpster, they did not use the designated one, that it did not count essentially. So, Jacob, what do you think of this dumpster brawl here?
I thought this was great. I thought this was entertaining. Yeah. I thought this was fun. I thought the aftermath was stupid. The wrong dumpster. Oh, is there a specified table for a tables match? No, you put them through a table. It's a freaking dumpster match. Put them in a dumpster. And
you didn't want
to
right. But it was cool to see, Terry Funk and Mick Foley get a cool WrestleMania moment, holding the tag team title. So
even if it was temporary,
even if it was, but hardcore wrestling can be fun when done right, and I think this was done right. So I would I would go back and check.
At least there was an even back and forth of spots and whatnot, and there was a
Yeah.
clear like focus every time they did a big spot. You know, it wasn't just like move
Right.
all over the place. You know, like they at least like set up everything, and that's probably because Cactus Jack and Terry Funk are smart guys, and so are Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. You know, they're good wrestlers and they know how to lay it out. So at least, but yeah, Richie. Yes.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this match. Yeah, I think there was like two things. There was I think there was confusion like right at the end when went in this match, because I think like Terry Funk had to kind of like posture to then get in the belt, like yeah, you got that, you son of a bit, like bring the bell ready, then run the match, like and Jazz like,
well, I think the referee was legitimately confused because he was waving off because they went into that back dumpster instead of the other one, and I don't think anybody clued him in on that, or that wasn't just a plain finish. They just said end the match, give us the belts. Yeah, it was weird.
And a weird statistic: this is not the the first title that Mick Foley's won by forklift. He beat
the halftime heat match. Yeah,
he beat the Rock for the WWE Championship by forklift. That's a weird statistic.
By dropping a pallet on him and just sitting on it, yeah, and pinning him down and making it so where he just couldn't move. Yeah. Hey, it's not a smart idea. Didn't Al Snow or Hardcore Holly, one of the two, wrap one of them each other up in a chain link fence and pin them that way? I mean,
yeah, it was not a bad idea. I think it's Hardcore at next year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, at 15, of the famous Mississippi River thing. Yeah, when he just rolled him up in the chain link fence to where he physically could not lift his shoulders. Hey, not a bad strategy, technically, if you can't move his shoulders. Yeah, can't kick out. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm opposed to that. But yeah, no, fun brawl. Yeah. I didn't remember all of this match. I remembered a few of the spots, but yeah, this was fun stuff. Pretty entertaining. Crowd got into it. But again, I hate to see every time I go back and watch Mick Foley just killing himself for these little spots throughout the match. I'm just like, dude, just save it for the big spots, like doing somersault into a dumpster and just splatting on the floor. I'm just like, oh god. But anyways, we move on to again a really fun video package recapping the Undertaker Kane feud, because again, this is a pretty long-term storytelling feud, beginning with obviously the Hell in a Cell Shawn Michaels match where Kane debuted, and really running through most of the back half of that year up to WrestleMania, kind of these back and forth. They're doing goofy stuff with supernatural things. They're firing lightning bolts at each other and, making pyro go off and, burning caskets, and things like that. They're doing all kinds of goofy stuff here. But again, it's really fun though. Like I enjoyed kind of taking this trip down memory lane with this video package for Undertaker and Kane. It's good stuff here. But before we get that, we have another guest ring announcer in addition to Jennifer Flowers, as Pete Rose makes his way to the ring, which again, once he came out, I remembered this. I was like, oh yeah, Pete Rose, that's right. Because he's in the Celebrity Hall of Fame, I believe so. Yeah, but again, rightfully, this would be one of several appearances he would make with Kane. So, kind of a running gag at least, which would be pretty fun. Because he would do a follow-up next year, actually. But he comes out and they're in Boston. He was a Cincinnati Reds guy. They had a pretty famous feud. So he comes out and basically cuts a heel promo, which was pretty good because he comes out and at least I liked it because it's usually the cheap thing of like go after the sports team of that thing, but he was the guy doing the things against them, so like I was okay with it because he was the guy kicking their asses, so like I'm fine with it. That's a different thing because he comes out and he goes
he didn't even attempt to do the swerve thing. He's just like, no, you guys suck.
No, he literally comes out and the first thing he says is, last time I was here we kicked your ass. And he goes, you can't win a World Series. And he's just going off on him. The curse of the Bambino, the city of losers. And he does the Bill Buckner line, which if you don't know, he says, I left tickets for Bill Buckner, but he couldn't bend over to pick him up. It's a famous clip if you don't know. Bill Buckner from the Red Sox. There was I think it was like Game 6 of the World Series. He was the third baseman, and he let a ground ball go through his legs, and that pretty much ended the game. So it's a pretty famous clip. You can look it up. Even the call was, he gets by Buckner. He missed it. It's a pretty famous clip if you haven't seen it. So that's what he's referencing. What's that?
Was this before he got banned for life for?
This is before he got banned. Yeah, I believe so. Or it was around the same time, something like that. Yeah, it was around the time. But yeah, because they were still talking about how he was a shoo-in to be in the Hall of Fame, which he's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So this must have been before. Yeah, so this was before that. But anyways, he does all that, and then he starts to introduce, but the lights go out. Kane's music hits. He comes right out. Pete Rose is a little, scared of him, obviously. Grabs him by the throat, picks him up, and tombstones Pete Rose. And hey, give him credit. The tombstone looked good. It was a good tombstone. Legit, like one of the better sort of celebrity tombstones I've ever seen. And it looks great. So crowd goes nuts for that. Again, in this moment, Jacob, is Kane a babyface or a heel?
Yes.
Yes, right. So during the match, I think he's a heel, but here he was a total babyface.
Definitely babyface here. Yeah,
because he laid out
to
Pete
have
Rose.
Kane come out and do it.
I think JR makes a statement too. That's Pete Rose. That's Pete Rose.
It's Pete Rose. You can't do that. It's Pete Rose. So he gets wheeled out, and Kane is in the ring awaiting the Undertaker, who has an awesome entrance. This is a great Undertaker entrance because immediately before even the Undertaker's music hits, they hit "O Fortuna," the famous song "O Fortuna." The Druids come out with the big torches and whatnot with the fire. They finally hit the music for the Undertaker. He comes out in like this big Dracula kind of cape, this big giant sort of cape and get up. Again, great entrance, very WrestleMania quality sort of entrance here, as would be with many of the Undertaker entrances. So yeah, good stuff to start out, very WrestleMania entrance like. So yeah, we start with this match. Both guys start to go toe to toe, punch for punch in the center of the ring. Eventually, Taker works Kane into the corner and begins his kind of strikes in the corner as he does. Taker kind of counters a few Kane attempts with some big boots. And Kane fights back as well, but Taker sits back up quickly. Kane runs Taker into the corner upside down and then starts kind of wailing on him and booting him in the corner. They both hit some huge Irish whips back and forth, literally shaking the ring. Big corner splash from Kane. Undertaker has a big front suplex onto the ropes and a top rope right hand. Back in the ring, Taker gets up on Kane's shoulders unexpectedly. This was out of nowhere. Good on Kane for being able to hold him up, but then kind of drops him face first and gets a 2 count. There's some cheap shots from Paul Bearer on the outside as he takes a few cheap shots while Kane distracts the referee. Kane suplexes Taker back into the ring from the apron on the outside, and Kane hits a choke slam out of nowhere on Taker, but only gets a 2 count. We then get into the chin lock portion of this match because Kane put about 3 chin locks on Taker for about 5 minutes in this match, to where the crowd was getting a little agitated and starting to chant boring. It might be because both guys were kind of blowing themselves up. They were going full tilt for a little while. So, some long chin locks here kind of in the middle of the match. But we pick it back up as Taker drops Kane on the ropes with a hot shot and then boots him to the outside. And as Kane is on the outside, Taker does his big WrestleMania dive as he does. And holy shit, he goes head first right into the announce table and splats right into the Spanish announce table. I think the spot was supposed to be kind of sort of did it. Kane sort of sidesteps and kind of tosses him into the table, but he really kind of barely touched him. But Kane just takes a header right over the top ropes through a table. And that was a crazy ass spot there. But yeah, I wrote holy shit because it certainly was. Inside the ring, Kane hits a top rope clothesline for 2, which he would go on to do in a lot of his matches. But again, both men start to go toe to toe with their big right hands. Taker tries a tombstone, but Kane counters it into his own tombstone. That was impressive, and hits it, but only gets a 2 count as Taker kicks out. Taker powers up on Kane, starts striking back, hitting a big lariat. He then hits a choke slam to Kane and hits the first tombstone to Kane, but Kane kicks out at 2 of Undertaker's tombstone as he was doing the pose and everything. He kicks out. Taker picks him up, hits another tombstone, but Kane still kicks out at 2. There's a big top rope clothesline from Taker as he's trying to do anything he can to put him away. Finally hits him with a 3rd tombstone and puts him down for the 3 count. After the match, Paul Bearer tries to run in the ring with a chair. They have kind of a back and forth. Kane grabs the chair, hits Taker with it in the back, and then tombstones him on a chair to leave Taker laid out in the center of the ring. Pretty famous match here. Kane's big WrestleMania moment here to start out with. I don't know what you thought about this match, Jacob. I like a big hoss fight, so I kind of like these guys slamming into each other and even hitting the right hands. It felt kind of big fucking epic. To me, like the beginning was hot. The middle, slowed down a lot with those chin locks. Like I totally get it. But then I really like the last 5 minutes or so of this match. But I don't know, what do you think? Because this match is a little divisive. Some people like it, some people don't.
No, I really like this one. I think as far as Undertaker's WrestleMania matches go, I put this like in the upper half for sure. Like you said, the chin locks kind of dragged it down just a little bit, but then they pick it back up, and I think this is a great example of a match where both people can come out looking strong, even though there is a winner and a loser. I think obviously the Undertaker looks strong defeating Kane, but Kane, it took him three tombstones, and he even after 3 kicked out. It was
a little bit,
a little too late. And then Kane is the one who ends up walking away after that tombstone, like you said. But no, I think this is really good. I think they would get better as the years go on together. Obviously, they were new working together as these characters. I mean, I don't know if Undertaker and Isaac Yankem had a match. I'm sure they had.
Well, I will say, just for context sake, the month later at Unforgiven, they would have the famous first Inferno match, which was fun. With the fire around the ring, and every time they do a high spot, they shoot the flames up. Like that was fun.
Right, yep.
So that's a pretty famous match they would have pretty right after this for the rematch.
But I really enjoy this one. I actually think this is better than their WrestleMania 20 match.
I think too, yeah. The WrestleMania 20 match is not great overall. It's kind of an overblown squash. Taker pretty much squashes the shit out of Kane in that match. Yeah. It's like, Kane doesn't get a whole lot of offense in that one. But again, that was more of a hype just for Taker coming back, after the long absence they teased. But Richie, what do you think of this big, mean, scary guy match, as Vinny V would call it?
Sorry about that. I don't know, my internet went weird. But I like the match. I thought it was good. Yeah, I'm assuming you talked about that nasty table spot.
Oh yeah, that was right when you were cutting out. That I was like, he did his basically, we call it his WrestleMania dive, over the ropes. But he splattered right into that table. That was nuts.
Holy shit! And then one of the Spanish announcers, that Hugo Savinovich fell on his ass. I was just like, holy shit.
We'll talk about Hugo Savinovich at WrestleMania 19 because he takes a fucking chair shot to the head at that thing, from what I remember. And Jesus Christ, we'll talk about him. I've listened to the Spanish commentator for that match just because Carlos Cabrera goes, oh, mi amigo. I'm sure you guys, and it's really funny to listen to if you get a hold of it. It's really funny. Oh, mi amigo. Anyways, we'll get there.
I believe the only other time Undertaker and Kane wrestled, Kane wrestled as the Unabomber in Smoky Mountain Wrestling and had a match on Undertaker. That's sort of the only time that they have wrestled before. But I think it was a good match. I actually, the opinion, I get that they both, were made to look strong, but I would have had Kane go over here because you haven't had I don't think you have the streak that was really established yet. And I don't know. I think I think it would have done a lot for Kane to, and have a really shock dominant win over.
I think he wins the Inferno match at least. I think the rematch. I think, if I remember right. So, but again, they still made him look strong, kicking out of the 3 tombstones. Like that put him over pretty big. Yeah,
but I don't know. It's probably just because it's it's like first match, but I would have had Kane win, but it's not a massive outcry that Undertaker won. I get it, but
yeah.
No, the Undertaker won the Inferno.
Did you win that one too? Oh, okay, wow, okay, interesting. Huh. All right, I have to go back and watch that match. I like those Inferno matches; they're fun. So there we go. We do that as we start to kind of get close to our main event here. There's a quick video package with a bunch of legends: Freddie Blassie, Pat Patterson, Bruno. Talking about how they're cheering on the current stars. Cool way to kind of put them over. Nice little quick video there. We get a little recap of Mike Tyson's shenanigans in and around the WWF. And again, to their credit, that Tyson and Austin confrontation on Raw is a pretty damn famous moment in the history of Raw. And a pretty big deal. Tyson and Austin. Yeah. The baddest man on the planet. Yeah. Mike. And again, for any context, here in 1998, this is only only a year after Tyson bit Holyfield's ear, if everybody remembers that, when he bit part of his ear off. This is only a year after that. So, I mean, this is still like, you know, maybe not peak Tyson as far as his boxing ability, but like he was still a big main event like attraction, you know what I mean? Like he was still in the headlines, still a big event. So this is a big deal to get Mike Tyson involved with this. He was still a big personality. He was in and out of jail around this time. He got out of jail and mauled a couple of people right out of jail because all he did was work out of jail. Just came out and just mauled a couple of dudes. Yeah, he was still pretty scary around this time.
I believe you can look it up. I think there's a story. WCW tried to get him at the same time, and WWE. So
I think so. Yeah, they just outbid him. Yeah, something like that. So.
Yeah. I think that the funny part of those video packages, Mike Tyson kept referring to Shawn Michaels as heartbreak. I'm going to win. And who's going to be ready to scream as the baddest man on the planet? I will, heartbreak. Not Shawn Michaels, heartbreak.
Well, you know, hey, it's Mike Tyson. What are you gonna do? Correct him? You know. So Tyson comes out first. He does the most awkward, weird crotch chop motion that you've ever seen, where it's just like it's really awkward, like this, just very, very strange. But he really likes doing it. He's big into the crotch chops, so I'll give him that. He's full on DX mode here. But he comes out because he is the guest enforcer on the outside for this match. And again, we were making real parallels, Jacob, with Muhammad Ali going into the Hall of Fame, and he was the guest enforcer for that main event, a boxer as the guest enforcer, and now we're watching WrestleMania 14 with a guest enforcer boxer on the outside. So another weird parallel to a show we're doing with current events. So yeah, very, very kind of strange there. But yeah, we get to our main event. Excuse me. For the WWF title, we have the champion, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin comes out, or this is one where Chris Warren actually sang the DX song as HBK came out. And yeah, we'll mention that earlier in the show, and yeah, this is from the Wikipedia, and there's no footage of it because they've erased all the footage, but he sang America the Beautiful and the Star Spangled Banner and did such a horrible job that he damn near got booed out of the building that night. It was so bad they erased the footage that Chris Warren did, and they said it was disrespectful. It was so bad. So yeah, that footage does not exist anymore, but apparently he did not sing the Star Spangled Banner very well earlier in the show. So he was not on great terms with the crowd. But he did sing the DX song live, which again was always cool anytime they kind of do a song live. It was all right. He comes out. Then Stone Cold comes out to a massive pop. I mean, crowd just absolutely, this is like peak Stone Cold here in 1998. Crowd is super, super in to Stone Cold Steve Austin here and behind him in this match. Boston 100% for Austin. So we start off this match. Michael kind of dances around the ring, hitting a few jabs here and there. Austin eventually just gives him the 2-finger salute to counter that. Again, he hitting these kind of jabs, you know, saying they learned them from Tyson. There's a huge kind of axe handle after a chase. Austin's able to knock him down. Slams Sean hard into the turnbuckles. There was a lot of moments in this match where he was just running Sean into these turnbuckles like full speed. We'll talk about the one where he whipped him in and Sean did his kind of upside down thing and his back just slammed into that turnbuckle. Oh my God. That looked disgusting.
Given that, he knew this was going to be his last match for a while, given that he has back issues, he wasn't taking it easy. And given that, we'll get to it. I thought he looked like he was hurting during this match. Like he was.
No, I'm sure he was definitely hurting, and I wouldn't be surprised if they shot him up just with Novocaine in his back or something before this match, just trying to numb him up or something. But yeah, give Sean credit. He was not taking it easy. He was taking bumps in this match and hard ones at that on his back. So maybe he was going all out for this one, knowing it was going to be his last one for really about 4 years. So he wouldn't come back for. But anyway, Sean gets his tights kind of halfway pulled down in the scrum here, and he gets kind of whipped around the ring again with kind of half of his ass hanging out. Triple H starts to interfere on the outside. He runs Austin into the barricade, but the referee catches him and does what they should have done earlier. He throws Triple H and China out. Throws him out. Get out of here. He did the right thing. Got rid of China. What? You mean a referee can do that? That's crazy. So he ejects them from the building, as he should, because they're obviously blatantly trying to interfere and interfering. HBK gets knocked off the apron, and Austin hits an axe handle on him. Austin then runs up the ramp and attacks Triple H for retaliation and throws him around on the DX stage up there. HBK eventually cuts him off, and he grabs the drum cymbal stand and hits him with that. Again, all these guys kind of brawling around the stage area there. Austin gets whipped into the side of the incapacitated dumpster, or the correct dumpster, we should say, that those guys should have used, as they kind of brawl back down the rampway a little bit. But again, crowd's super huge into that, cheering on Austin, though. Austin gets Shawn Michaels off the top rope, and this is where he whipped him really hard into the turnbuckle and did his outside thing. I just wrote "ouch." That looked like it would have hurt regardless of a back injury. Holy shit! And I think he was supposed to hit a spine buster here, but it came a little awkward because he hits an inverted atomic drop instead on Shawn Michaels for 2. It looks like he was supposed to hit this kind of delayed spine buster that he usually does, but doesn't hit that.
That almost Alabama Slam thing. Yeah,
it's kind of a half Alabama Slam, half spine buster Austin used to do, but instead he kind of does a awkward sort of atomic drop thing.
Maybe his back was hurting.
Yeah, maybe
not in that spot.
It could have been. Austin then hits a stun gun, but only gets a 2 count. He goes for the stunner, but HBK is able to escape and gets knocked off the table and goes right into gets knocked off the apron into the corner of the announce table. That looked like it hurt also.
Right into his face. He didn't get his hands up. He hit
he just slams right in, like chest first and chin first, right into the table. That looked like it sucked. But again, the match really, really intense, very, very, very stiff and intense back and forth. Back in the ring, Austin drops a number of kind of elbows to Shawn and goes for a cover, only gets a 2 count. Shawn Michaels hits a jawbreaker Austin hits a jawbreaker after a couple of submission attempts from Shawn. He tries to wrap Austin's leg around the ring post, but Austin's able to escape. But when he goes to run after Shawn backdrops him over the rail into the crowd, and then Shawn is able to hit him with the ring bell as well. So this one getting way out of control here. Shawn throws Austin back in, hits a little ground and pound, starts kicking him in the abs, really just trying to hold Austin down at this point. Austin fires back with a big double leg takedown and whips him over the ropes once again. And again, Shawn not taking it easy. Every time he got thrown over the ropes or whatever, he took hard bumps to the outside, really still killing himself in this one. But he finally is able to come back and do what he tried earlier, which is wrap Austin's leg kind of around the post, and really starts going to work on his knee and his leg there, just trying anything he can to win the match. Austin tries to fight back with a cradle, but only gets 2, but Shawn goes right back to the leg. There's a baseball slide to Stone Cold and knocks him kind of into the side of the announce table. Mike Tyson then takes it upon himself to throw Austin back into the ring. Shawn immediately follows up with a huge chop block to take him down once again, and then tries a figure 4 and starts kind of using the ropes for leverage a little bit, trying to get the submission behind the referee's back. Austin rolls over and reverses the pressure with that figure 4 and then breaks the hold. Yeah, because that hurts more. And then hits a couple of right hands and catapults Shawn into the turnbuckle, but is only able to get a 2 count as well. Shawn fights back with a sleeper, trying to put him to sleep at this point. And then as he's on their back, they back up into Mike Chioda multiple times in the corner. So the referee goes down. You can see where this is going with Mike Tyson on the outside. But Chioda is down. Austin then sends Shawn in the buckles a couple more times, stomping a mud hole, just getting kind of frustrated, ready to put him away. It's a big backdrop. Shawn counters an Irish whip with his traditional kind of Shawn Michaels flying forearm. He kips up as he usually does, goes to the top, hits the big elbow drop. He's ready to tune up the band and ready to put him away with Sweet Chin Music. But Austin stops and counters the Sweet Chin Music. He tries the stunner, gets pushed off into the ropes. Shawn tries to kick again, another counter into the Stone Cold Stunner out of nowhere. And Mike Tyson slides in and counts the 3 count. And your winner, and as JR says, the Austin era has begun. Your winner and new champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin. After the match, Tyson then punches HBK and turns on him, lays him out, knocks him out right in the center of the ring, and he leaves with Stone Cold and an Austin 316 shirt. Crazy, stiff, competitive main event here. Crowd super into Stone Cold Steve Austin. Definitely kind of a fitting main event for WrestleMania as they, as JR said, start the Austin era with him winning the title kind of at the peak of the Attitude Era here. So, Jacob, what'd you think of this main event here?
No, this was great. I think it just reminds me of how good Shawn Michaels is. Like he can have a match like this with Austin, who's more of a brawler.
It still works.
He's not. Then we see him have matches with the guys like Chris Benoit or Kurt Angle, who are better technical wrestlers, and he's having classics with them. Like, and on top of that, he broke his back, and he's giving us like 20 minutes of just action and spots where, like you said, when he's going over that top rope, like he's going over the top rope.
He's getting thrown into the buckles. He's getting thrown into the buckles. Like he is not taking it easy. Yeah, he is killing himself for this one, just going all out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun match. The turn from Tyson, I'm sure at the time was unexpected. But now it's fun to it's fun to go back and see it, like, Shawn Michaels, because Michaels is a heel at this point. And it's always fun to see heels get what they deserve. And the Austin era has begun. And, it's kind of the kickoff of the Attitude Era, which in ring wise probably wasn't the greatest, but storyline and entertaining, it's pretty memorable for those kinds of moments. So yeah, this was a pivotal moment for WWE, and they delivered. I remember I looked back at it because I know we did the tier ranker last year of the WrestleMania main events, and we had this one pretty high. We had this one in the A tier, just because we limited that S tier. But
I think this is like one of those strong A tiers, and I'd agree with that. Like just with the moments, and again, the match is really good. The crowd's into it, and yeah, is it a super classic on the level of Stone Cold and The Rock, or HBK and Undertaker, things like that, whatever. Like, no, not exactly, but still damn good, still damn fun. Yeah. Richie?
Yeah, no, I thought this match is really good. It accomplished what it set out to, and that's made it, kind of, the almost passing of the torch, if you will, to Austin and start the Austin era. And I thought it was really well done. Michael's doing all that stuff when his back's all jacked up is insane, but he was still put in a great performance here. Not much more to add, really. It's just a great all around match. I don't know whether because it felt weird. I don't know whether Mike Tyson was meant to count 3 so fast.
Yeah, he kind of jumped in and it was like a 1, 2, 3. But at the same time, he's not a referee, so I let it go because he's not like a wrestler as a special referee and enforcer. He's a boxer, so I'm fine with that.
And also at the same time, though, it kind of works because he's kind of like, hey, I'm actually not on your, I'm actually not on, at this time I decided I'm not on your side, so it kind of fit into the story of why HBK would be pissed at him as well. Really good solid match, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so let's kind of get a wrap up of what you guys think of this one overall, a score out of 10, and kind of your overall thoughts here on WrestleMania 14. Richie, did it kind of now that it's fresh in your brain? Is it underrated, overrated, properly rated? I mean, what do you think?
I feel like it's properly rated, but because the matches that people talk about are the matches I would recommend people watch. The actual mid card is something that I'm like, and you don't have to go out and watch it. There's nothing WrestleMania caliber. I like the dumpster match; that was good. Triple H and Owen Hart is pretty good, other than the weird booking.
I would say really the final 3 matches in a row, like the little last hour and a half or whatever the show, because it's literally the dumpster match, Undertaker, Kane, the main event. I think are all worth watching. That stretch,
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Triple H and Owen Hart, in ring wise, that they work really well together. But I think the booking hampered that, and the weird, the overbooking, and the nonsensical storyline, which made Slaughter look like an idiot. But like, yeah. So the mid card's very meddling. That you wouldn't really see on a. I feel like you wouldn't see on a WrestleMania now, but I don't know. Yeah. So it's probably just. Yeah, it was interesting to go back to see where it sits, but I feel like it probably just sits where I thought it would. It's just it's the matches that you'd think would that stood out are the matches I knew about, and they stood out. The matches that were sort of the more famous, so they stand out. So so I don't know. Overall, as WrestleMania, probably I'll go around a 7. Yeah.
Yeah. Jacob.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I'm hovering around that 7 range because I'd be like, hey, if you want to go watch WrestleMania 14, you can go to the Triple H Owen Hart match, watch that, and then you can skip ahead to the the dumpster match and start from there. Because I think,
or actually, I like the Rock Shamrock stuff just because of Nutty Shamrock, but that's just me. Like just because of insane, like roided, Madman Shamrock, because it was only 5 minutes or so. Like I like that, but I know you weren't a fan of it, but I like that.
I don't know. I feel like I would be a bigger fan of it if it happened on like a Raw.
Okay.
Or because like it didn't feel like a WrestleMania moment to me. I guess maybe with where The Rock was in his career at that point, it makes more sense. But it's like it's the Intercontinental title. Like this title is main evented pay-per-views before. It's supposed to be a prestigious title, and like we're giving them 5 minutes in a DQ finish. Like if this had happened on Raw, I probably would have liked it. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that because that happened right before the dumpster match. So I guess you could. And again, it's only going to take 10 minutes of your time.
Right. Yeah. It's a 5-minute match with like 3 minutes of brawling afterwards. You know what I mean? Like it's it's whatever. And it goes by fast. Like that match is super fast.
It's like you said, Ken Shamrock is entertaining and fun here to watch. But I would still go like a 7 because I do think that Battle Royal is whatever the light heavyweight championship match. They just didn't get enough time. And so like it just felt like too much. The Mark Merrow, the mixed tag is fine. Like you said, the crowd was hot for Sable, so that's cool to see. But yeah, like overall as an event, like from start to finish, I'm like at a 7-ish.
Yeah. No, I'm in that 7-ish territory too. I think it's like a perfect score for this because it takes a little while to get going this WrestleMania, but I think once you get even to the mixed tag match, I think everything from then on is at least entertaining, and has some momentum and moves quickly. Is really fast paced. At least the crowd got into those kind of last 4 matches and we're into it. I like that one. Yeah, I loved Unhinged Shamrock. That was just fun to watch. Just him laying out everybody was a good time. The dumpster matches are really fun, kind of hardcore, brawl with some good spots. Undertaker Kane, I liked it as a big Haas fight slamming into each other. Like I dug the intensity of it. Again, other than the chin locks, but just go get up and get a drink while they're just doing a chin lock. That's how they come back and watch the last 4 minutes and you're fine. And then the main event is a great sort of match that they gave time to. Shawn is working his ass off despite the injury. Crowd is super into Stone Cold, so it's like it's an intense match. It feels like a big match, feels like a big main event, and an appropriate one for that time, kind of a passing of the torch. So I like that as well. So I mean, I think it's a slightly underrated WrestleMania, not like an amazing WrestleMania, but maybe one that people forget about as at least an entertaining WrestleMania. Not a bad one for certainly. You know what I mean? If we did tier rankers of WrestleManias, this might at least make like a strong B tier, maybe even a low A tier, something like that. Like it'd be in the upper echelon of WrestleManias. I would put it up there.
It's not WrestleMania 9 or 10.
Oh no, for sure. It's
Yeah,
2000's a fucking messy show.
Was the 27 one with Miz and Cena? That one was
that one was not great. Yeah, there's some misses on WrestleMania. It's not a miss. So but anyways, that'll kind of wrap it up for tonight. The retro show we'll be doing next week. As I kind of y'all threw this idea at me, and I'm okay with using it for my pick. Is a place I was just at, Greensboro, the Greensboro Coliseum, and Sting's final match. Well, let's take a let's take a trip in the time machine to a match he referenced in his promos and even in the videos and whatnot. Let's go back to the first Clash of the Champions back in the NWA, and this is March 27th, 1988. So it still even works out time wise, March of '88. This time instead of 24 years ago, or it'll be 26 years ago, it'll be 36 years ago, going back even further. And yeah, a match that he referenced, headlined by Ric Flair versus Sting in the main event of Clash of the Champions 1. And yeah, we'll see. I don't know how the undercard is. It's got some people we know on there, but I have no idea if the rest of the card is any good. But I know that match is good, at least the main event. I've seen it on the Ric Flair DVD, the three disc one that I had way back when.
So that one too.
Yeah. So I know that was good. But yeah, it'd be kind of cool to literally see the venue, as it looked 36 years ago, and I was just there. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Well, ironically, it's weird how things tie together, because when they briefly mentioned Unforgiven in the tag battle royal, they mentioned it's going to be in Greensboro. So
yeah.
that,
Greensboro has always been a hotbed of wrestling, so yeah, pretty interesting. I'm sure the venue looked different. I think they've updated the actual arena since then, obviously, because it says this one had 6,000 people at it on the Pro Wrestling Wiki that I'm looking at. So yeah, no, they've expanded and made it larger, but it's still in the same location, like literally the same part of town, the same complex essentially. But yeah, so it'll be fun. Kind of, let's take it back to where Sting kind of started, and then one of his big breakout matches and feuds with Ric Flair here. So it'll be fun seeing Surfer Sting, as we got a little tribute to with one of his kids dressing up as him from like 1988.
That was cool.
Yeah, so I think that he is kind of dressed up like that for it might even be exactly like that if we do a screenshot. It could be. He could be dressing up as them from Ric Flair. We'll find out. So yeah, we'll watch Clash of the Champions 1, as well as talk about whatever other news comes out with any more Hall of Fame picks, whatever the WrestleMania matches get set in stone maybe over the next week or so. We'll talk about anything else that happens. So yeah, but thanks guys for joining me. We'll do some plugs and we'll get out of here for the night. So Richie, what you got going on?
Yeah, you can catch me. Tournament fights, I believe tomorrow night. The Zach Shelton versus Jordan on the TV. So that should be interesting. And the mystery tournament on Tuesday. On that one too. You can catch me. I've got a. Not sure, we haven't scheduled it yet, but I've got a Full Metal tournament with visiting Dan Skip Allen coming up. Should be fun. And I'm also I'm on going to be on JP on the ASAP team's trivia tournament, teaming up with Jacob Abbott doing being the Lonely Marks. So where is it?
All right.
So
we'll see how that goes.
What's that?
So we'll see how that goes. You might have to carry.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah, but I feel like, like JPO and Austin are representing the Lonely Marks 4. So there's at least should be some combination at some point all times of into
right. we're like the Freebirds. It's any combination of us at any given time.
Yeah, and if we ever win the tag titles, then you and Austin can defend them. Right?
Yeah, we'll just tag in and out, like whoever shows up that night, to defend it. It's like the Freebirds. You don't know who you're going to get, Bam Bam, or you're going to get Hayes, or who are you going to get? I don't know. Where we feel like putting in the ring. That's fine.
So got that, and I've also I'm in the Seen and Heard tournament too. That will come up soonish. Expressing Jeff Snyder and a couple other people, which is But no, I'm not saying it's daunting, but it's daunting. A lot going on, and like you mentioned, Clash of Champions. So I also should briefly, I'll briefly mention, but we can expand on it next week. They did announce while we're on the stream that apparently the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, Eddie Kingston was going to defend the Ring of Honor Championship, not all the championships they go, the Ring of Honor World Championship against Mark Briscoe. So.
Well, how's he going to do that if Okada beats him for all the titles next week?
Maybe they just maybe they've kind of given away that he's not.
Again, just don't do that. Just don't do that match on TV. Do that match at Dynasty. But anyways, that's a whole other conversation for another time.
It's probably gonna be a non-finish leading to Dynasty.
Yeah. Okay. But anyways, Jacob, what you got going on, man?
Yeah, Sunday I'll be on Rankum doing the top 12 comedies of all time. Yeah, Malcolm's gone through the decades, and so we have 72 to choose from. And there's some interesting choices on the list. Someone is not happy at the lack of Adam Sandler on the list. It's not me. I'm okay with it, although there was one.
I couldn't imagine who it would be.
There was one Sandler omission that I was like, why wasn't Happy Gilmore at least on the list?
Yeah.
But no, that'll be fun. Then I'll be back on Tuesday for the mystery tournament, and then just another heads up for the following week after we do Clash of the Champions. The following week we will be doing another draft, and so just to give the idea, so you guys can start like prepping your lists or whatever, because it's not going to take long. But I know some people like to be prepared. It will be like a decades draft, so we will be drafting 6 from the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and current. And then with that 25th spot, you are going to draft an announced team from a specific decade as well. So 25 picks total. And then when constructing your card, no two wrestlers or teams from the same era can go against each other.
Yeah.
That will be in a couple weeks as well.
We'll see if there's anybody from 1988's Clash of the Champions you want to draft, because you could do that. You could draft 80s Ric Flair. You could draft 80s Sting. You could draft 80s Midnight Express. All kinds of options on that show. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll get some ideas. You could draft people from WrestleMania 14, from this show. So, no, you could draft 90s Shawn Michaels, 90s Stone Cold. Yeah, all kinds of options there. So, good stuff. We had a couple ASATs early tonight over on the Pierce Co. If you want to check it out, I guest hosted a Intercontinental Championship match. You can check that out. And then I played in an ASAT Rules match later this evening, right before Lonely Mark. So, a couple of things I was involved in there. You can go check out. I'll be on Wolfman's channel this weekend, Mega Movie Z. We'll be doing our St. Patrick's Day as much as we did last year with Leprechaun. We'll be revisiting Leprechaun, and we'll be going back to the hood with the Leprechaun for our drinking game this weekend, as we went in the hood last year. Now we're going back to the hood. So yeah, you can see me get obliterated this weekend if you like. And then we got like Jacob said, we got a TV tournament coming up. We got a mystery tournament, and then next Friday will be my After the 128, which will be all new movies. I can assure you, a whole new 64. So no crossovers from my original 128. I made sure I copy and pasted it right below my list and made sure of that. So yes,
same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because I almost added a couple that I already had that I forgot about. So I made sure. But yeah, that's what we got going on. Lots of stuff going on in the different communities. So hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell if this is one of your first times tuning in. I've got a few people even from my gym tuning in now. Not Summer Rae yet. I'm trying. Next time I see her, I'll get her to subscribe to Lonely Marks, and I'll just do the Fandango thing right in front of her as I walk by. So I'll get her to subscribe because she does go to my gym. But I got a few people there, so we're having a good time here, regardless of how many people are watching. We just like to talk wrestling, have a little fun. So thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. And I don't have the other meme. I did have one meme that I pulled up that you didn't see from earlier. So maybe we'll just go out with this. This is Mercedes Monet, the face you make when you see all the empty Dynamite seats.
Nice.
Oh, poor Mercedes. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks a lot.